It is.
Looking steady for me.
Fine. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, bear with me. Getting up a few bits of notes. Okay. The three of you have been contracted by one tribal leader, Marso, to transport an artifact of some mysterious function south from the city of Arilla to the city of Iron, where you will meet a specialist in the field. Travelling on the road, you have had a few short encounters, but effectively no grief, and yet the travel has not been without peril. You are aware of the risk of coming across certain other parties, certain other actors within the field, particularly none other but a rival clan named the Nalgena. Rounding into what should have been the home stretch, however, perhaps the final few hours of travel, you have encountered a new complication, a change in geography. Where what was once a mountain range, you find now a deep and long valley. This valley, you have ascertained already, has been artificially carved out over the past few decades by one family, the Sander family, to whom Sander Glen they have given their name. The sole settlement and town in the valley is a farmstead run by the family with a few other business owners. But it is not a happy time that you meet them at. The night before your arrival, the sole heir to the Sander family has gone missing under mysterious circumstances. Signs of violence in her home indicate kidnaps by what the locals are referring to as crazies or people in the hills to the west. Investigation reveals that this may not be as simple as it is, and yet your course of action waits to be decided. You are being offered employment and blessing by acting mayor Thomas, who runs a roadhouse in the town, and have met with his second in command, a Blue Lyrell sheriff by title, and also with Kirin, the Aeon priest in chapel. The very end of last session, we ended in the chapel, and Kirin had been leaving you to investigate the bodies of Starla Sanders.
Oh, she's the one that was kidnapped. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, Starla Sanders' house staff, the two resident, kind of housekeeping staff who had been slain ostensibly on the night of the kidnap.
Indeed, indeed.
You were discussing theories, thoughts, contemplations. And while you've been doing this, Starla, Kirin, the priest, has been tending to some other duty over in the other end of the room. The inside of the Aeon Chapel is split up and kind of cloistered is almost the word there. It's segmented, and there are areas which are obviously for public attendance, public ceremony. It is pewed, and there is not quite an altar, but a kind of an area for speaking and offering to. There are the ceremonial tables on which the bodies are laid out, and these appear from the design of the furniture to be permanent fittings, but they can be moved. In the sense that they're not heavy enough that they'd be constantly taken up and taken down, but they're not fixed or part of the floor either. And then there are other little sections off at the side of the room where various Numenera, various devices are installed or lain in pieces or set up under for observation. Clearly, Sanderglen, like the rest of Milave, like the rest of the Steadfast, is not fully excavated, is not fully understood, and the locals the locals that are given to exploration will find things from time to time. A plough might turn over a chunk of steel which leads to something bigger, or a shard of synth, and these are all brought to Kirin, as is the custom with Aeon priests up and down the coast and throughout the country. And Kirin is at a workbench presently when we come into the room now.
We've had our little powwow in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were doing at the end last time, having a powwow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything from last week that you wanted to ask or clarify or go over at this point?
Well, I don't think we need anything more from Kieran. I think we've seen enough from the bodies.
Yep.
I'm going to do just a couple of things though. Bear with me. Fudge. There we are. Sorry, lads. Yeah. Okay. So you've been going through that, and Kieran does come over though, and on her hand she has a small tray with a few small ciphers lying on them. And she approaches you and she says, "Gentlemen, I've put a few things together. I realise the significance of what you're doing. You obviously aren't incapable. You've obviously made a good impression with Thomas, but I think I need to stress the importance that you find the Sanders girl, that you find Starla. Thomas is doing the right thing by hiring a neutral party here. There are different attitudes, but everybody that lives here and gives their life to this town would owe more than they could offer to you if you were to find her." And she kind of holds up the tray and says, "Well, this is all I have for now. If it's anything that can help you along your way, please take it." So
What
there
are
are.
these devices?
Give me 2 seconds because I'm going to work out what they are because I haven't decided anything because I'm a really good GM.
It's quite all right.
What's that?
I know we were having our powwow in the corner, but did we want to go and are we going to bother going and talking to the dude in the shop?
Gav,
Well, good.
We could.
I don't mind
here.
either way. Yeah. The other thing I was thinking of is broaching the subject of the Numenera we found with Kieran. The one we found in the Sanders house.
Oh, I don't.
I tried to trick him into that, and he wasn't giving it away, was he? He was playing coy.
No, I mean the priestess.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I get confused with the names. Yes. Possibly.
Because if she's not aware of it, then
this device is the reason why Starla has been taken out. What if Kieran's in on it? Then we probably don't want to shoot our wad.
Exactly. But on the other hand, if she knows nothing about it, then it means that Sanders have been keeping it secret.
Are you suggesting we just show it her and say, "What do you make of this? We found it on the road or something."
Well, no, we didn't take it. It's a large.
It's the building thing.
It's the building. The thing that's
the valley.
Yeah,
you mean the thing that's installed in the house and is burrowing into the earth, and you can realise from the displays and the instruments around it that this is what has formed the valley.
After all, she is only kind of young, so we're assuming that she's only been here for a little while.
Could be. What you ask?
You know, she obviously hasn't been here for 50 years. The time the effect of the thing has been working.
Yeah. No,
certainly not. You'd put Kieran maybe in her late 20s. This isn't a prestigious posting for an Aeon priest. This is the kind of place that a person would be sent to learn the trade and earn their dues, maybe before going into a major city or somewhere more secluded.
Okay, well, if we're not decided on it, why don't we go and visit the shopkeeper?
The Grouse. Billy Grouse. Billy
Grouse?
Yeah. I got Billy written down.
Billy Grouse is exactly it, yeah.
Billy Grouse is a grouse, yeah.
Because he likes to grouse.
Billy, yeah.
While hunting grouse.
Yep, seems legit.
Sorry. Typing these up. So you are just going to head back to the town square. You saw you saw a general store there, and it's pretty reasonable to assume there isn't another in town. This isn't a big enough town for that.
Yeah.
So I saw you saw the general store in the town square near the roadhouse. I'll rephrase that.
We've also got what's his name, Laurel, in tow.
Lyrell, yeah. He's outside the chapel.
He's our minder.
Yes. I think we want to keep him in tow at the moment, don't we?
Showing us around the town.
If I type up these ciphers just quickly, should I just put them on the table in a couple of minutes and you can decide whether you took them or not?
Yeah, don't mind that. Well.
Sorry, okay, I'm being very quiet, and I realise I should be describing what's going on. So you step back out into the town, and the morning has been coming in this whole time, and it's as I said to you before, it's looking like a fairly grey day. It might rain later on. It would be your kind of estimate, although it isn't raining yet. People are now moving around on the street. The area that you are on has larger houses. Large families might be here. The prominent buildings, the two prominent buildings are the chapel and then the Sanders house, which is definitely the largest residential building in town, having 2 stories and a number of rooms. Lyrell is standing outside, kind of not tapping his toe, but he's shifting back and forth on his feet now, and he looks directly at you. Get where you needed as you walk out.
Yeah, they got
time will tell.
Shot with a bunch of arrows. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, seen those arrows before.
Yeah, the red arrows, yeah? The red feathers.
The feathers. Yep.
People of the hills?
Yep.
They attack these parts often?
Not attack. Rare for them to come into town. Won't do it when I'm around.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Do we press him on that?
Sure.
I mean, the question then is, are you saying that out loud, Sam? Or
where were you? Kind of. I know he was on a meeting, but strange that they were to attack when you weren't here. If they wouldn't do it when you are, it's like they knew.
Yeah. Got a point?
Just a mere observation.
I mean, they could have seen his Wind Rider, I guess.
Or someone let them know he was leaving.
Could be.
Yeah, could be that. Where do you want to go next?
Shop.
Yeah, speak to the old Billy Grouse. See what this fella's got to say.
Cornetto.
Grouse likes to grouse.
Yeah, so be here. Well, I like a lovely grouse stew, so maybe you can sell me some, hey?
Gotta do some more business later on. I'll leave you alone after this one.
All right.
And he walks on and he heads back up the road, so it will lead you past the Sanders house, but you know the way back to the town square by this point. It's obvious he's going that way.
You're not coming with us out west, are you?
Don't want to leave town if it's a threat. That's how come Thomas hired you, right?
Well, yes, if you're the town's protector, you should protect.
True.
That's what I said.
All
And
right.
he's walking, he's walking at a pace where it's not difficult to keep up, but he doesn't feel like he's trying to walk with you. Does that make sense?
We're heading in the same direction.
Yeah,
but separately.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
you.
He doesn't walk quietly. He walks quite loudly, and you've noticed this at times, at least, that he when he steps heavily enough that the things on him shake, the things kind of rattle, and he puts the flat of his foot down quite hard as he steps.
He's a
A
copper.
man walking with purpose, on purpose.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right, to the store.
Indeed.
And the store is opening as you get to it, and there's a man in a kind of simple clothes with bright red hair, standing outside opening the shutters on the front windows. There's there is a lantern hung but not lit under under an awning, a kind of porch side awning, and he's opening shutters on the window. Proudly, the sign says General Store, and you noticed this before.
A man proud of his store? That's unheard of.
Lyrel walks up behind this man as he's opening things and stands in the square, not stepping up onto the porch, and just kind of stops dead still. And the man on the porch, he finishes opening the window that he's on, and he turns around. He's obviously heard Lyrel approach. He turns around and looks over to him, and then he looks up and notices you, and then he looks back to Lyrel. Lyrel simply says, "Grouse, these fellas are working for Thomas. Wanted to have a word with you." And the man, he looks very nervous for a second, and then he pats his chest and kind of smooths wipes his hands on his shirt and says, yes, of course, gentlemen. Yeah, yeah, I will just be opening up, and yeah, come on in. Do you give me 2 seconds. And he turns and he quite quickly now he picks up the last of the shutters. There's one window left to open, and he opens the door of the store. It's obviously open. Props it open from the inside, and turns around to kind of wave you inside. He's got the shutters that were there tucked under his left arm, and he waves you in with his right hand.
All right, well, going in. Morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Grouse, we presume.
Billy Grouse, proud proprietor of the Sanderglen General Store, yeah. Happy to be an independent business owner here in these parts. Doing well. Yeah, you can get anything here, anything you might need, anything that's not distinctly cattle or booze. We have certain licenses on there, and then beyond that, you need supplies, you need food for the trail, you need tacking for your steed, you need a map, you need a compass, you need rope, you need matches, you need blankets, all kinds of things. Fishing wire, fishing ropes, fishing hooks. All kinds of things. Yeah, what can I get you? What would you need? Proud store. I mean, you're free to browse, Billy Grouse, free to browse. Yeah.
Yeah, just take a wander around the house or wander around the kind of shop. Just picking things up, turning them over, putting them back. That type of thing.
Yeah. The impression that you're getting already is this guy. This is the kind of guy that could get stressed in an empty room, and this room is not empty. He's highly strung and wants to make this good first impression and wants to talk a lot, and at the same time he doesn't want to talk a lot, but he's talking a lot and is unsure what to say, and the store is packed full of stuff. I mean, everything he's saying about the place being you can get anything there. That's the impression you get, including there are things around that aren't Numenera. They aren't interesting looking. They're just trinkets and little oddities. Not even like interesting oddities, just weird ceramic shapes and things.
Cool.
Okay. Well, we're not here to buy anything, good sir.
Yeah, looking for information.
Yeah.
A bit of local history. Are you a local fella?
Well, I mean, I've spent a good portion of my life in Sanderglen, but well, let's say I'm not in league with the family. We don't always see eye to eye. I mean, this is what they say: without the Sanders, there'd be no Sanderglen. Yada yada yada. I mean, I'm not the tourist bureau, but well, I pay rent rather than give up, hours of my life, shares of my profits, yada yada yada. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm as part of the, I'm as much a part of this town as anyone else, as much as Kieran or Jones or goodness, I
Thomas.
haven't been here as long as Thomas is a different case. Thomas is well established. I can't imagine him living anywhere else. But me, well, I came in on the road and I saw a business opportunity.
How long you been here?
Ooh, well, now let's see. It was, and he starts counting on his fingers. So 7 years, 7 winters. Yeah, struck a deal with Eunice, and then she's gone, and well, hoped that deal might be revisited under Starla, but not had the chance to do that yet. And here we are now. Might have to negotiate with Thomas soon. Gosh, that'll be a weird one.
We heard you don't see eye to eye with the Sanders family too often.
Listen, it's a business matter, and that's no nothing personal. Starla's a lovely young woman, and I had nothing. I need to tell you very well now. I had nothing to do with her visiting, her disappearance, so called, or as it may be unproven. I've got nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
No,
well.
He look like he's been genuine.
I mean, he's quick to say it. If you want to try and work that out, yeah. I mean,
I'm happy to roll for it.
You're not very good at these things, Sam, in particular. So I mean, I'm happy for you to make a roll, but I want to kind of give us this impression that he's not more nervous talking about that than other things.
Yes,
it just
that's
seems
the
like
impression
a nervous guy.
you are giving that impression anyway.
I was gonna say,
yeah, like.
Well, I was gonna say, like, what's the deal with the disappearance? What do you know?
You'd have to ask Lyrell about that.
Or Lyrell's gone from the room, isn't he? He didn't come in.
Yeah, Lyrell waited outside. He hasn't come in once again, so.
Yeah, cool.
Well, Lyrell said, it's the strangers to the crazies to the west, but we just wanted to, get a well-rounded perspective on the situation.
Well, exactly.
Exactly.
I don't have anything to do with those people.
Oh, they don't buy things from you at all. You don't trade with them.
Let's just say they don't. My impression is they don't use currency. I don't know.
They much of a problem around here?
Well, and he takes a deep breath, and it's like for the first time he's trying to choose his words. Wow, they. Yeah, I mean, not trouble. I don't know. I'd want to keep away from that end of the valley in general. To be honest, the southern ends of Glaive aren't really for me anymore, and there's a reason we settle in town, and there's a reason they're yeah.
Well, you gotta.
Anyway, no, I mean you should find out. I mean, how long are you fellas going to be in town? Because Lucy is Lucy over in the roadhouse. She'll be working there today, and Bubbles the chef. Those are the guys you really want to speak to. I mean, if you're here, you want to try the best that we can offer as a town. The town itself is really lovely, and I mean the local livestock, everything like that is excellent.
But
and
we don't give a shit about your town. We're here to find the woman who's gone missing, and we're being paid for it. We will be leaving this town as soon as we find her. Don't need to sell us on the town.
We ain't tourists.
Yeah. Had we met these guys?
Yeah,
I have much to say.
sorry, Gix.
I'm just talking shit. Ignore me.
So you
Well,
know nothing about her disappearance.
No, sir, I don't.
You don't
I
think
don't know.
anyone was from the town was involved in it?
The way people talk about the Sanders, you would think that they had carved the valley themselves. They were the saints and the blood and bread of this town. And Thomas's business and my business would not be here without them. And I can sit and complain about the ground rent and share of the profits and monopolies all I want, but I would never stoop to anything like that. And sir, if that is the case and you are not here to do further business, then I don't know how I can help you.
I'll slap five shins on the counter and say, "What do you know about Lyrel?"
Lyrel?
Yeah, he seems a
He's
shifty bastard.
Give us the dirt.
Go on, give
Give
us
us the dirt, young man.
well, he I mean, he could be. He's not the most talkative of fellas. Lyrel, there's a level of hesitation in his voice, and then he looks up. He's downright rude. He comes in here and he says 3 words to you all day, and takes the same things every time. He takes the same tobacco, and I don't know how he lives. He's got no zest for it at all.
But that weapon he's got. Know anything about that? That weapon he's got. Know anything about that?
The spitter he wears on his chest. I never got a good look at it. Saw him. Well, I saw him put a fella down. Big hairy fella. Went out of the west, like you say. A couple of months back. Put him down at 20 paces.
What did it look like when it went off?
Big flash.
Yeah.
Thought it'd be louder.
Was it justified?
Well, you'd have to ask Kieran about that sort of thing. Personally, I was glad to have him around then. And that boy can be as rude as he likes.
It's understandable. Yeah.
But,
well, I'm satisfied that this guy don't really have anything to say.
Yeah, nothing useful. Maybe.
He's just an amped up trader, isn't he?
Right, should we?
Let's just march out. Let's just march out west, and I'll say this in front of Chris. Let's just march out west and find Starla.
You're gonna find her? You reckon you can find her?
Yeah.
She's still alive.
Damnedest.
Or what's left of her.
Yeah, one way or another, we'll bring something back.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help, I know I haven't given much information, but
Give us more bleeding information.
listen, I don't know anything about it. You boys need supplies or sleeping mats or.
Nah.
I've got maps of the valley.
We got
The valley would be good.
Maybe old. You got any old maps?
We've got
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, no, nothing older than when I've been here.
Is it the valley changed much since you've been here?
Honestly, that's why I settled. It didn't seem to change at all. Some of the families have been here, as long as they can trace. I used to be a big city guy. I used to hang out in well, don't tell this. I, crossed the border from Far Bronze some time ago. Didn't fancy life under the Patharons, and that's a touchy subject, and I don't like to bring that up for everybody. But Glaive has treated me very well. Found myself in the valley here, and this seemed like a good place where a person could really settle. I'm just trying to make an honest bit of business here, and I'm happy to help people out. Starla was well liked, more than her mother, and yeah, she is missed.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you have anything that could help us in a fighting situation, I think we're all good on our adventuring supplies.
He looks around. And, most of the fellas make their own sharp sticks. I've hunting knives and I've sharpening stones, whetstones and the like. But you'd want to see the smith maybe. Grumman, he's out there. You can hear him hammering away. And you have rightly, you've heard a smith hammering.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks anyway. Thanks for nothing.
Let's leave.
Yep.
Get outside. Is what's his name still there?
Lyrel is there. And as you come out, he kind of looks around the square, and then he looks back to you and says, "That it? You done?"
Yeah, pretty much.
Indeed, we learned nothing from him.
I'd say he ain't a suspect. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's for
Nope,
definite.
didn't think he'd have it in him.
We're going to head out of town.
Head to the hills.
So we'll see you later. Unless you want to come with.
Got business here. Need to see a few more boys.
Boys, eh?
Good.
I
said
and
that out loud.
he and he kind of curls his lip a little bit, and then he nods and says, "See you on your way back in," and just turns and he walks directly back to Thomas's place first.
Reporting to the boss.
Would appear that way, yeah.
I've got here the 3 ciphers.
Yes.
Kieran will have explained what they are, rather than you needing to roll to work them out.
Yeah.
Because she spent the time with it.
She's a bit generous.
I will remind you guys, so although you have cipher limits on your sheets, they are not hard limits, so you can go over them. There is a table in the book as to what happens if you every day that you are over your limit by how many you're over. But that doesn't mean that you can't go over it, and being over it for a couple of hours is kind of okay.
Right. Well, I'll take the gas bomb.
Let's have Luke.
That was double grenades. Oh. Wait, hold on. No.
I'll take the shocker ring. I think it would be the best for me.
Flame retardant wall.
I'm going to use this cipher and take one of the spare ones. Just going to use it to fill me intellect.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. I'll hold onto the gas bomb with my other 2 for.
What do you want, Gav?
I'll take the ring, which will put me 1 over my cipher limit.
Got the wall.
Unless you want the ring as well.
No.
Probably hold on to it until we get to.
I'm
wherever.
I'm indifferent. But I will take the wall, and I've got the servant. So. Right. Didn't we kind of want to take him with us?
Well,
we talked about earlier.
We had assumed he was coming with us, yeah. But no big deal if he doesn't. We'll still go out and we'll talk to these people in the west.
Yeah.
If that's a possibility.
I'm happy with that.
If they don't attack us on sight, which they probably won't. Yeah, let's go.
So the main road that you came into town on continues, and it winds a little bit going through town. You'd have to pass by this main square, and then it would lead you out past the Aeon Chapel. So the way that you've been walking, it kind of leads you through and out that way. But it's not easy to find your way out the western end of Sanderglen town. As I say, the sky has been quite cloudy, and passing out and getting out into an area where there are no buildings at all, you feel more of a chill and more wind in the air. You notice the clouds above you moving. You notice the grass rustling and moving. Who did we lose? Nobody playing. Okay. And yeah, as I say, the day doesn't quite feel great, but you can walk down and along that way pretty easily, pretty comfortably. Give me 2 seconds. Right, I'm going to scrap that off. Can you tell me what, or if you are walking in a particular order, if you're straddling across the road, or
It's
kind of,
walking
yeah.
side by side, I think. I am.
Yeah,
anyway.
just fairly casual. I don't really,
We're not here imposing.
Yeah, exactly. Want to keep it more casual. Don't want to give off the threat that give off any threat. So I'll happily just walk side by side with the lads.
Yeah.
But we'll be keeping an eye out, and we'll refer back to maybe the latest map that we have from 10 years ago. Because we took those maps, didn't we? The 5 maps from the Sanders house.
Yes, I did take a load of maps, yes.
So, I know they might be a little different, but, we can refer back to the one that we have found to be most, to be as accurate as 10 years ago.
So it was a map that was probably only a year old. You could probably work out from what you've been told it was Starla's first map. It would have been commissioned. It will have been commissioned kind of with her instatement sort of thing, her coming into era of the family, because it would have coincided with the hard winter that they had the year before and Eunice's death. And then before that, it went back by decades.
Yeah. Keep strolling.
So there were yeah.
Is there any discernible markings about the tribes on the maps?
So the way things go down, as I say, so you will have seen the shape of the land, and let me clear this because I can just draw very roughly the shape of the valley. This is not to be taken as to scale or anything like that, but if this is going to be north, so the way that you have come is this way, and you've come up the hills there, and then let me change color. So the shape of the hills and the valley themselves are like that. And then it splits like this, so there is more hill there. And so, as I say, some of the valley continues on directly west. Some of the valley. This is the wrong direction, isn't it? That's east. Oh well, fuck you. And this is to the south, and this would be the road back to Iron. So this goes. Like that. That's where the road goes, and the town itself is going to be here.
So these guys are actually to the west of the village.
They are up here.
Okay.
That's where you think they are, because I don't know how to.
No, it's fine. The
Take track of
town's got a big magnet in it, so all the compasses are the wrong way around.
Yeah,
so everyone's
maybe.
confused.
Yeah. And as I say, so looking up this end, there were some weirdly angular shapes in the rocks that looked distinctly like non-organic. Most of the shape of the valley looked fairly natural, but up here it started to get weirdly like blocky, like the hill was a bit Minecraft.
So I was going to say.
There is rivers coming down this way. That comes in and that goes down there. Doesn't cross over there, but fuck you. So that's the kind of rough shape of things, and you're able to follow along the road this way. This is over. I can't be bothered to put a number on the scale. But this is several kilometers long. This whole thing. Yeah. And I'm going to erase this particular line. But yeah, the suggestion is that basically this is the way that the road goes, and where the valley splits, there are people living up here. As you start to leave the village, however, and I'm going to give 2 of these to Gav because he is an electrical boy, but he can have 1 of them to give to somebody else. Please.
All right. Gex, you've none, do you?
I have 3.
Oh, I see
We
them,
both
yeah.
have 3.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go, Sam.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm giving you that simply because it starts raining.
Ooh.
Fair.
And it's the rain more or less it could have been forecastable. The way that you feel it comes down to you, but it is hard. It is cold. You know, it's already been windy, and this starts to bip down on top of you, and you're going to get the impression, Gav, being particularly electronic as a fellow, you might want to get out of this before you get too wet, before you do too badly there. There is, without going back to town, one area that looks like it might be quite well sheltered. There is a small cluster of trees a little way off the road, but you'd be able to make your way over there, you know, just by going off the road and stomping for a minute, maybe less.
Yeah, okay, well, suggest we should get out of this and just wait for a few minutes to see if it passes.
All right.
And we'll just head up that direction. I'll wrap up as best I can and try find shelter.
You should have brought a hat.
Yeah, as I kind of rub the water off my perfectly shaved bald head.
Yeah, and you can already see the light starts to refract in the shimmering of your fiber optics, and the diodes in your skin are catching it, and it feels cold on you and bitter. It has that kind of harshness of a late autumn rainstorm. You know, where your bones and your steel implants and your various parts are going to feel very cold very soon. Sam, this does not appear to be affecting you in the same sort of way. You know, the rain is,
Passing through me.
Yeah, to some degree, some of it probably is.
Yeah, sweet.
Similarly, with the grass, you don't really notice a difference in your going and your pacing, being on the road or off, despite the long grass. But you make your way over to this. You've been out of town for a few minutes, and you can imagine you were at a distance where, if it were dark, for example, you'd be able to see the lights of town, but people probably wouldn't be able to see you. I don't know why I'm picking that particular example, but And yeah, there is a small cluster of trees where you're able to get some shelter, and you're able to get in and out of the wind and out of the rain pretty well. The trees still do have some leaves on them. Winter seems to be, autumn seems to be coming late to Sander Glen. They've still held enough sun, and the ground, as I've said, is nicely fertile. So these trees have grown well and they've grown healthy, and they are holding up pretty well. There are a few dead leaves on the ground, but not nearly as many as you will have seen further north the last few times you've been around trees.
It's okay. Interesting.
They appear to have been, they don't feel like a plantation. They're not ordered in any kind of way. They're just kind of fairly old trees, and they've grown well if they've only been there for 50 years,
Good
but
soil.
yeah. Oil, did you say?
Good soil.
Soil, the good soil. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Shelter. It's a perfectly engineered valley for crop growing. Nice sheltery.
Yeah.
Nice and warm.
Yeah.
River.
Lots of livestock for fertilizer. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. And then can I get perception rolls from everybody? I think, because I know you're trained on it.
I am trained in perception.
Yes.
19.
I'm blind.
Yeah.
13.
I'm so incredibly blind.
Sam, the wind kind of catches the smell of breakfast blowing back from the tavern, back towards you. It's coming down the valley now, and kind of catches you. And you sit for a second, and you start to wonder why the fuck you volunteered to walk out in the rain of a perfectly good town without your cart, without your steed, and trudge. Your feet are not good at
That's
trudging.
a fair point.
And
Oh, 'cause
yeah,
they wouldn't let us.
well, perhaps, but yeah, threatened not to do that, and yeah, weren't happy about it. But yeah, you're not having a great time. Gav rolled a
This is
13.
rubbish.
Gex, on the other hand, you are looking around on the grass, and you are looking around on the leaves. And when I said there were some fallen leaves on the ground, there are a few areas that appear to have been swept, and there are a few areas that appear to have been kind of disturbed or even piled recently.
Signs of habitation.
And Gav, you can see this, but then Gex, stepping past that, you notice something in particular, which would be a larger area of flattened grass just beyond this grove of trees, just beyond, in a spot that you would not be able to see from town. And this is an area of flattened grass that is kind of long enough to get a decent run along. Or perhaps to run something along.
Right.
And then I'll give you one more thing that you find. On the edge of the tree line, next to this area of flattened grass, is a single red feather.
Oh, okay. Boys, check this out. Not only does this place look like it's occupied, but red feathers. I think we're on the right track.
How high above the town are we now?
So you're not above it, but you're a little way past. Let's say you're about 500 meters past the town. So you're at a level where you could observe it, in the sense that if it was lit up at night, you wouldn't be easily observed yourself. And then if you were in the tree line, you could be quite easily camouflaged. But you could see light sources moving around. You could see who was in and who was out.
Yeah. Okay.
And you'd be able to approach and kind of get in and away quite easily.
Can we tell what kind of animal the red feather's from? Have we
A
seen
bird.
any native birds of Just out of interest.
Gonna get you to make me a roll on that. Are you skilled in that sort of thing?
No.
No.
Just as
I tell you what. Yeah, make me a roll. Because I know what kind of bird it is, but I want to know.
Oh, hang on, that didn't roll.
This is more or less, and this would be something that. Tell you what, before
16.
you roll that, yeah, I saw that. I will give you the option of spending an XP point to know this because it's not terribly significant. Because you can just have encountered them before, or you can. Actually, 16 is pretty good. Fuck it. Let's say that's not a skill check. That's just a kind of coincidence roll, if you know what I mean, a world building roll. And these are, especially Sam, you being from Glaive, you may well have seen them now. What the fuck have I called them?
It's just I'm wondering for like significance of spotting these guys that have emblems of them. Are we just looking for red feathers? Do they do a secret fucking core in the bird's tongue?
These are a pimento finch feather, and this is a particularly it's a red kind of bird that will feed on things from trees. It will feed on fruit and nuts and seeds and the like, and they will eat off the ground sometimes if they've been
So
what
it
was I
is
going to say, if there've been things spread and things like that, but they're more likely to live in trees.
not to tangent on birds for too long, but is it native to this valley?
Well, they're native to Glaive and the Southern Steadfast in general. It's not unreasonable to say that you wouldn't find them in the valley. Yeah, so anywhere that there are trees in, like I say, the kind of in this whole kind of southern area. Let's say everywhere south of the Weir River that's here. You'll have found them.
Cool. So nothing unusual.
And I wanted to roll to see how much you might know about them or how much you might have encountered. Whether this is just something that you recognize it vaguely, or you know exactly what this bird is and what it might be like.
Common, easily available feather.
Well, so they are a wild bird, and also the sort of thing that people wouldn't keep domestically.
So just people who live near or in trees, you would say.
Yeah, so it would be the sort of thing that if you were to catch it, you'd want to, an area with lots of trees, and you'd want to be fast. I suppose that's it.
Okay, so
They're not
these,
one that people keep. Yeah.
that kind of discerns that these guys are probably going to be quite agile humans.
We've not really got any specifics on them to say that they're humans.
Not all
Except that-
barbarians are subhuman. Come on.
Well, could be. Actually, no. Didn't someone mention that they used to live in the town, or they had I can't
Yeah.
remember.
That they were here first. It does sound like they were displaced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well that's an interesting bit of
Maybe
information.
Maybe their trees were next to their town, but they got moved over the years.
Yeah, maybe there's some sort of historical significance to that.
Anyway.
Yes.
Well,
Anyway.
We'll push on.
Yep.
The rain is passing. Yeah. It appears to have just been a shower.
Really good.
Are you going to go back to the road, or are you going to kind of because you know with the rain passing and you get that kind of splash of brightness and proper god rays that it would stretch your GPU to some kind of limit. Bolts of sunlight coming in through the clouds now, and you can see a little way up the valley, and you can start to see the point that it would split. And there's not an easy path or an easy, a marked road that would lead up to the upper part.
Just get a huffing.
So it's not
Cross-country.
upper, but further north. The
Yeah, no. Well, if this is where they spied on the town from, there's probably a route from here further up the valley.
It's a good assumption. Is there, if we're assuming this is where they spied on it from, is there any tracks about? I know I've fucking like nuked my perception roll already, so probably not.
So Gex has found signs of what might have been even like bivouacs or
Yeah.
people sleeping there.
Is there like a
And
trail leading off that maybe or something?
you
Or-
and he's found a large area of flattened grass where something perhaps has been dragged or moved along. But it doesn't. That itself doesn't lead off.
If I look at the grass, is the grass laying down in one particular direction? Because if something's been dragged, the grass will be pointing in that direction.
Yeah,
Obviously-
it's the grass that's flattened is running kind of north to south, and it lines up more or less along with the tree cover. So that whatever's been there has um, hit the ground or been placed there at the edge of the tree cover and then moved along it, and it's not irregular enough to be a series of stamping. It is something going into the ground and moving along, if you know what I mean.
Should we just go into the trees? Or move up the
It doesn't.
the
It does.
stream?
It doesn't go in. It doesn't go into the trees. It's possible that something, like I say, I mean, something could have flown in there and then taken off at the other end.
I see.
Yes.
A wind rider, perhaps.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. I had
Yeah, that
assumed
would be a
it
good
was
assumption,
higher
yeah.
up the valley.
So you're not up the walls of the valley or anything like that. You're
No,
just
no,
going
that's
along in this.
why I
Yeah.
was assuming we were higher up the valley. Because I thought of the Wind Rider as well. Well, look, why don't we push north up onto, or west, or whatever the fuck, up
Yeah,
onto
north.
the, here, up onto the
I was
highlands.
just gonna say just go straight up into the valley.
Yeah, it's,
You'll
you know,
be able to gain some ground, but fairly quickly it turns into scree and boulder, and moving is going to be more difficult. It's going to require a little bit of
way.
Yeah, going up that way,
Okay.
you'll be able to move on the grassland. But I mean, if you're moving up the walls of the valley and actually gaining altitude, it's going to be more difficult because the terrain is steep and like I say, it's not vegetated after a little while.
Well, I think
Because
I say we
becomes-
just
because
go
it becomes-
just straight up the valley and just if they see us, they might come meet us.
If you imagine it's flat grassland with the river and things like that, and flat farmland, and then fairly steep walls that you could climb if you wanted to spend some time climbing, or you could get a little way and move along, but that's going to be difficult and slower. Although obviously you get the height and you get the better visibility from height potentially.
Well,
straight at them until we
yeah,
can't for some reason.
I'm trained in climbing, but fuck it.
Yeah, I'm inclined for straight at them until we can.
Yeah, let's go.
That seems like the reasonable thing to do.
Yep. I was going to suggest I could climb up and then have a look, see if we can see anything, but I don't really want to split up, so let's just stroll up.
Yeah. I could. Well, no, my cat was in the car. I haven't got the cat with me. I'm not going to power game to have my cat with me. Stupid. I could send the cat up there and link my senses with it, but I'm not going to do that.
Cats
I
are
don't have it.
terrible at climbing. What are you talking about?
Cats terrible at climbing. You're having a laugh. They're the best.
I am.
What they're terrible at is fucking throwing things off of shelves. Not
They're
bastards.
pretty good at that, to be honest.
Terrible for that, not bad, not at it.
Yes.
I'd say they're proficient in it.
Definitely trained.
All right, let's roll.
A moment or two more because I'm stupid and need to look up what's next. So yeah, heading up along that way, and things remain as grassland. The terrain doesn't change significantly for quite a while. But you do pass up into it, and you start to loom on this, which is quite a quite a menacing kind of cliff face. By this point, this would be the point at which, if the valley had formed naturally, a river had split and struck against it. There is quite a sharp point in the rock, and an interesting kind of nose is not too strong a word. Arete is the word I'm looking for there. In terms of the mountaineering speak and things like that, with the way that this is shaped, and it's not even sloped to form a ridgeline. You get sheer cliffs all on around this, where the others are still sloped to some degree. This is, cragged and interesting looking for those of you who are inclined to climb, and terrifying to those of you who are not. You approach up on it, and as you start to kind of near that area, you can see up into the valley, and sure enough, what you can see of the rock gradually becomes less organic and more geometric coming up here. And while you have, sheer cliff faces here and gentle glacial slope, not gentle, but, smooth glacial sloping here with boulder field of rocks that have fallen down, things become squarer, things become more polygonal and with flatter faces. You also notice in amongst cuboid boulders almost, trees emerge, mosses emerge, not just grass but shrubs. And this is, you start to pass areas which are much less cultivated. You start to move into areas which are much less cultivated than the rest of the valley.
So we're in the forest now.
So you're not quite into forest. It's not going to be too difficult for you to go through, but there are now trees, there are now shrubs and other plant life than grasses and farm crop. And then there's a couple of things you'll notice. On a particular shrub, you will notice one of these. You have seen them before, pimento finches. And you see it before it sees you. It's a little way off. Let's say, the red really does stand out. But it is, it is idly sitting on a shrub. And then as you come close to it, as you come, let's say within a 10-meter thing where you would comfortably be able to throw something and hit it, one of your spears, perhaps, Sam, it turns, it twists its head, and it's up and it's gone before you can realize that it's seen you. It has left. It has gone.
Nice little fucker.
And you're able to carry on. You don't notice any more of those. There's nothing particularly special about the bush that one was sat on. And then the next thing you see, and you haven't seen one of these since you've entered Sanderglen, but hopping from rock to rock to rock, ever so slightly above you, is a goat. And the goat hops and bounces and hops. And this is a curious thing. They're quite an interesting species in that you have seen these things before, but goats certainly aren't domesticated. They are very much, especially the way this thing looks. It is shaggy. It has twisting horns. And it moves with a nimbleness that you can only envy. Even you, Gex, with your being trained in climbing, even you, Gav, with your history, your lineage of martial movement and agility. The precision of hoof work and the way this thing skips across the rocks is really quite elegant in its way, and yet it looks genuinely like monstrous the way that goats do. And it skips past you, and it's kind of looking at you. Obviously, its eyes are to the side of its head, and it's kind of lolling its head up and around. And it gets to a particularly large rock with others behind it and shadows between them. And then, very strangely, the goat stands on its hind legs and puts one of its front feet onto the rock and steps between them, walking on the two legs, balancing itself gently with its forepaw. And it walks into the shadow and is gone.
What, like,
Mighty
just
odd.
disappears?
Cave entrance.
Well, it's gone into what might be a cave.
Okay.
It disappears from view, I would say.
Yes, it disappears from view. It hasn't just vanished, but
Yes, okay.
Oh, let's investigate.
Investigate the cave that the goat went into. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Is that not detract?
Cautiously.
Cautiously, yeah, okay.
We could just holler.
Hello there!
Okay.
do you call out?
Yeah, why not?
And your voice kind of echoes on the rocks, and bounces a little bit. You're in this kind of cluster of valley, in amongst the green, and you hear the wind rustle in the leaves and the grasses around you and the shrubs, and nothing calls back.
So we're going to take a closer look, I guess.
Walk very disarmingly in and go and have a peek.
Yeah.
Why not?
So the rock that the goat was skipping on, it's quite tall. It's actually, the spot by the time it was, by the last point you saw it, is on top of a rock higher than any of you. And it'll take you a moment to climb up to it. Are you going to kind of use any particular tricks or try and go around it?
I'll just climb straight up that motherfucker. Personally.
Yeah, and you can wedge yourself between others and kind of chimney climb and shimmy your way up it. And Gex, you can do that, not too difficultly with your training. I'm going to say, yeah.
Does it look like the only path?
So there isn't. There is kind of grass and moss and things all around it. You could carry on further up into the valley, and you're not at the very head of the valley yet. But there isn't a distinct path that you can see on the ground that you've been walking on.
Okay.
I'm surprised they can't hear us. Surely the noise would carry in the cave. Just go up and shout in its entrance. Maybe they'll come out.
Alright, when I get to the top of the rock, I'll just say, "Ho there, anybody about?" We're friends.
And what you have there is a deep, dark-looking tunnel that goes from what you can see into the side of the hill. The positioning of the rocks and things like that. It is shaped, and the square nature of these rocks makes for a triangular tunnel that you'd be able to walk down with a little stoop, maybe having to watch the positioning of your shoulders, but comfortably nonetheless.
Got a big cave here, boys. I'll sling down a rope to help them get up easier.
Yes.
Any
thank you.
signs of habitation?
Any signs?
The moss on top of the rocks is less pronounced than it is on the sides and on the side of the rocks next to you. Like, things have been moving around on top of there. Things haven't formed in the same sort of way.
Yeah, I've just seen a goat.
But I mean, there isn't. What I'm trying to say is that there aren't any man-made objects in the sense that you'd normally mean. What's notable, as I say, is these rocks they are squared off. They are, at rounded right angles from one another. So they are,
Most
there is
unnatural.
square as a die like that, or oblong, and so that in itself is striking, but no, nothing that looks like habitat or kind of nothing looks like a house at this point.
So no obvious signs of human thing. I shout out.
Certainly not. Yeah.
Okay.
So we go to the cave and have a look, boys.
Yeah.
I'll climb up the rope in that case.
Did we we had 2 lanterns, right, when we left the last town? Did we
Yeah, we
bring
haven't
them with?
used them yet.
Yeah. Do we have them with us?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
okay.
do.
Well, I'd say we light a lantern and then head in. Got the glow globes if for emergencies.
Yeah. Fine. Yeah. And going into the tunnel there is some what am I trying to say? There is some movement of air, and there's a smell of kind of meat on the air, and of food and of living things.
Mm.
Cooked meat.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Yeah.
All right, well, in that case, push on.
I'd like to carefully take the lead and just inspect the ground as I go, just to be sure.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. So the ground is very much a continuation of the rock, and the rock surface itself, it's not like glass smooth, but it's certainly smoother than any weathered rock. The crystalline nature and form of it's like a granite rock that heads through. It reminds you specifically of. Do you remember the passageway that you passed through up about here? After there was a kind of, what did I describe it as, this kind of idyllic pasture, 3/4 of the way up the mountain, and there was a very narrow passageway, and you're reminded immediately of going through there and realize that that's probably formed by whatever process also carved this valley, in feeling very artificial, in feeling pushed apart.
Yeah.
Again, this rock feels smooth and shaped, and kind of positioned. And the next thing you'll notice, the tunnel is coming into the hill, and it's difficult to get a sense of direction, but after a little while you realize that you can't see the daylight behind you. You must have turned at some point, although it's been imperceptibly kind of subtle. Keeping the 3 of you together is not too difficult, and then after a little while longer you realize that you can also hear something moving. Something. It sounds a little bit like machinery or grinding.
It sounds similar to the Numenera we saw before.
The one in the Sanders house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
Ah. This could be what the
Points for listening.
This could be what the terraforming machine looks like when it's fresh.
Indeed.
Maybe they wear down over time and look more natural. I don't know.
I'm inclined to think that somebody in the hills is maybe in league with whatever was going on in Our Lady's house.
Oh, perhaps she's here. Ooh.
Push on.
Yeah.
Maybe cautiously.
Cautiously, yes.
And yeah, and hearing this, with Gex walking forward at the front, with Hector walking forward at the front, you're not noticing anything more, but the sound gets a little louder and a little louder, and after a moment you realize that you must be turning a corner because a view starts to open up ahead of you. And this area is lit, and you see before you a very large cavern. It could be. It is bigger than you want to be able to see. There are light sources dotted here and about, little flames, little spots of glow. so some seem to be flames, some seem to be Numenera in origin, some are possibly bioluminescent. But there are, there are illuminations and then shining of the rocks and the walls and the surface that you walk around on, and then everywhere across the floor and against the walls is turning black, glossy gear, like clockwork gearing, pushing and spiraling almost, turning in the earth.
Like a
Um,
mining machine.
Yes, but also
Elon
it
Musk's
feels
tunnel
more. Yeah, it's somewhere in between that and also. I almost want to give the vibe. You remember in Lord of the Rings when they first go into the mines of Moria, and there is that
Yeah.
chamber which is just columns.
Yeah.
And if you imagine a room like that but filled with clockwork,
Okay. So this is
that's
the
yeah.
power. What powers the machine? Probably.
Yeah, this is the mechanism of the earth turning ahead of you. And whatever is working to widen the valley, you are beneath the valley and the valley is growing ahead of you.
Wheat.
And some of these gears are so big that you could build a house on top of them. Some of them are so big that you could comfortably walk in the teeth between them, and so long as you weren't there at exactly the wrong moment to be crushed against the next gear, you could pass between them quite deftly. And if you knew the timings, you knew the movements, you could hide and scurry and run without too much difficulty. And moving around on top of them with the timings right would be no challenge at all. Some move very quickly, some you would not want to spend long on top of, some of them you wouldn't even want to put something down on because it would be scattered, but the center points maybe are more stable. And then you realize that exactly what I'm saying there is proven to be true, because things, people, animals, maybe, you're not sure, are moving around ahead of you in the dark, in the glow, in the shimmering light of various flames and various glow sources and various reflections of the glow of the glossy black clockwork beneath the earth. And they move with a hop and a skip and a step and a quite a fine dexterity to their movement.
Shout out again, I think.
Yeah.
Hello! Bellow down.
And ahead of you, a dozen of these creatures stop, turn, and dash to whatever shadow they can find, whatever spot behind a cogwheel that may be on the vertical, or whatever boulder or pillar or piece of very well intricately carved rock that may remain. They hide. These things scurry like cockroaches when you turn the light on.
If I had lived underground, I'd probably want some kind of cattle that were comfortable living underground.
Well, a lot of them are upright, and you realize now, seeing the movement, that not all of these things are as goat-like as what you saw before. Not fully, at least, and they don't appear to be entirely human either.
Oh.
Oh.
The odd
Maybe
might
these are the
be
people we're
mostly
looking for.
human, but still have springy legs, or have horns, or some might simply be a very hairy-looking man.
Does anybody speak the truth?
Yeah,
Come
well,
in-
we just
Come in
push
peace.
on.
Yeah. Do maybe cry out like we come in peace. Do not fear us. We mean you no harm. or whatever that is worth to goat people.
Yeah.
We mean you know ham.
Just shout
Yeah,
out
yeah.
for Starla. Shout out her name.
Starla! Fucking Marlon Brando. Starla!
2 seconds. Sorry, I'm just checking something in particular.
Check away, sir.
The sound within the grinding, within the against the grinding noise mostly, you hear what could be chatter, what could be kind of whispering go out past you. What could be the grunting and the bleating of animals, or what could be, the muffled, muttered talking of people ahead of you, but you can't quite make it out from where you are. You're at the triangular mouth of the tunnel that you followed down into this great chasm, and you haven't moved from there as far as I can tell.
Okay.
And a couple of moments pass, and then one of them will stand. And this is, at first glance, as I said, at first glance, they could be a goat, they could be a person, and then with the way that they walk, what you're seeing is some kind of mix of both. Who is like a man who's forgotten to use his legs or put them on backwards. Maybe it's like his ankles are too high and his feet are too long, and his shoulders move in a weird way where they kind of, his arms are forward rather than downwards or back or out to the side. And the way he moves, he'll walk and he'll stumble and he'll catch himself on his hands, and they are definitely hands rather than front hooves, and then he comes back up again. And the face is mostly a man's face. You can see this illuminated in the night with very short horns on the top. He is wearing kind of hide clothes, and looking at them, they are a kind of black and white hide that have probably come from the animals farmed by the Sanders. It's a short furred hide, but he has a dark brown hair underneath, and then you can see, especially around his face, pale skin. There is a big, nasty looking knife on his hip. You'll notice at this point. But he staggers and crawls and hops and then walks more confidently towards you.
Does he look hostile anywhere, or has he been pretty chill?
He's approaching on his own, and he's kind of walking up on this way, but he's eyeing you with a little bit of suspicion. His eyes are mostly closed, and then he looks kind of up and down the cave to see what else might be going on, and then he's looking past you to see if there's anybody else with you, and then back to you again. And as he gets close enough, you can probably see this guy's eyes. He's looking directly at you by this point. His eyes have got that very distinct kind of yellow with the sideways pupil that a goat might have, but his teeth and his mouth look pretty human. And he stands more upright, and he says, his Adam's apple that you can see on his neck popping out of his collar kind of wobbles and shakes, and it's forming the way to shape the words first of all. And it comes and says, "Why are you here?"
He's saying that at all of us.
Well, he's saying it aloud to the group.
We seek.
A woman is missing from our town. Do you know where she is?
She is called
I'll give you
Starla.
one more thing that you will notice. There's none of these red feathers about him. There's no kind of decoration about him, other than, as I said, that his clothing is a kind of mostly white, black and white and pale hide. He's not. He certainly isn't wearing these red feathers or any kind of adornment at all.
Okay.
Sorry, Gav. Repeat what you said, if you would.
Oh, a woman was a woman is missing from our town. Do you know where she is?
Your town. Missing from your town. Which town?
Sanders. What was it called?
Sanders
Town?
Glen?
Sander Glen.
Sanders Glen.
Sanders Gooch.
The one down there. Don't be an idiot.
And he's kind of like half coughing, half laughing. But you get this kind of mighty shake in the chest as he does this. And then he says, don't know about that.
I'll produce the arrow, with the red feather on it, that I took from the Sanders house.
Yeah.
Say, are these yours? Is this yours?
No, mine. No, not mine. Don't go on none of those. And he kind of pats his waist.
That's just not that intelligent then. Okay. Do you know whose they are?
And he'll look at you, Sam, as though he's not seen you before. He's been talking to Gav so far, and then he kind of looks over to you and says, yeah. Use them. Don't got none, though. Give me it.
I'll give it to him.
And he takes it and quickly balances it on his finger, and he's displaying again this kind of dexterity that you've seen these people display when they want to. Make me, the three of you, make me perception rolls.
Gladly. 19
Oh,
again.
Pleasure.
7.
20. Fuck
Cool.
you, Gav.
Okay.
Fine.
Gav, this guy's been catching your attention. He's been talking to you a fair bit, but Sam and Gex is either side of you. Gav, you'll be positioned in the center here. Will notice through the sound of the gears and masked by the sound of the grinding mechanism and things like that, but not invisibly, a few more of these creatures have been moving up, so that they would be either side of this guy. They are doing their very best to stay hidden, but you've been able to spot them. Sam, in particular, you're able to notice that these ones, although this guy is he has a knife, but he's not showing any kind of aggression or anything like that. Others are coming up on you, and they do have weapons drawn.
Okay. Well, I'm going to exclaim rather loudly, in an attempt to intimidate them to stay their hands.
Yeah, sure. You can make me roll on that.
I am trained in this, and I rolled a 20.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
2 in a row. What the fuck?
I got
Yeah,
two
well
19s
done.
in a row.
Yeah, good lad.
This game broken.
It is. I've given you deliberately good dice.
I'm not doing it in like a hostile way, but I do want them to stay their hands and know that we aren't afraid. If that makes sense. I assume that's intimidation and not persuasion.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You want them to be impressed by you.
Yes, that's the one. Look how big my dick is.
It's a very Rimmer thing to say.
Yep. And this one in front of you, that he kind of does this weird coughing laugh thing a bit, and he takes 2 steps backwards. He keeps the arrow balanced on his finger pretty much perfectly, like he's definitely done this trick before that he likes doing. But he's looking across the three of you now and twitching a fair bit more, and you notice that the other ones have stopped advancing. You know, they're holding their positions there. And then eventually this guy in front of you snatches the arrow and throws it down on the floor. And he coughs a little bit more, and he goes and says, "Yeah, seen the girl. Take you to her, eh?"
That would be wonderful, sir. Thank you.
Oh, that's an interesting turn of events.
Oh,
Yes.
And
skeleton.
and he turns and he does his much less stumbling kind of walk on his legs, on his feet, you know, trottering on the moving of the gears and the floor beneath you, because some of it is hard rock, smooth rock floor, but then in odd places there is columns, you know, things running imperceptibly below very thin layers of rock, for example, of gearing, of clockwork, and you sometimes you'll stand in a place and you'll feel the rock whir beneath you in a way that only makes sense that something is moving. And after a second, you know, after following through, and you get to see more of these people emerging. They are no two quite alike, but all differing degrees of mixing humans and goat. You know, they are abhumans, certainly. They are, you know, their own breed of mutant. Not like you remember the Sathosh, which were a different type of abhuman. These are what are called Marga. You have heard of them, but you've been lucky enough, you suppose, not to encounter them. Marga are typically quite savage, and again will raid monstrously. The fact that these haven't lain in ambush, you know, they haven't attacked you on sight, suggests that perhaps they've got a little bit more going on, and you can smell cooking. You can see signs of settlement, which is rare among these creatures.
Okay, that's interesting.
Gav, in particular, having travelled this way before, the route that you will have taken before, it's you know, the routes that you will have taken over the hills and in mountainous terrain like this, it wouldn't have been unreasonable to have found and feared Marga for attacking a camp.
Hmm. Right, we'll follow this guy if he's leading us down to somewhere other area.
Yeah.
But he leads you forward into the dark, and as I say, kind of steps onwards with it.
Light it with a lantern.
Yeah, and you can keep the lantern lit, and you can see a decent range around you. You can keep your heads turned, and you can see others moving in between shadows and in between sources of light, and you get glimpses of movement. You can't quite make them out properly, and they aren't coming close enough to be walking with you so much as near you or padding, you know. Yeah, but this not quite leader that follows you is standing and stepping onwards. The one with the knife, as I say. And after a few minutes, a little bit further than you could have seen from the entrance of the tunnel, you come across a camp. This is set in the middle of a large, slowly spinning gear. You know, an encampment that it's made up of more than a few tents, more than a few stick structures. These are built from the twisted, gnarled branches and some of the straighter boughs of the trees that you will have seen growing above ground, and hides of animals, similar to what this man's wearing, similar to what you saw built above ground. And then stacked outside of a few of the tents are arrows with red feathers on flights, axes with red feathers tied as decoration or to perhaps affect their aerodynamics.
Interesting. So, I reckon she's with them. Let's find out.
I reckon she might have transformed.
I'm not sure
into a
about
goat.
that.
Well, I mean, it's affected Tomas.
How you said with the eye? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe the
Ah,
Numenera is having effects on the people as well as
Yeah,
the
maybe
landscape.
these used to be people, and it's slowly transforming them.
maybe she faked to disappear. Maybe she's in league with Blue Lyrell in order to undermine Thomas.
Oh, twists and
Nope.
turns.
Still don't see how that plays out. But
Well,
yeah,
if he's
Oh,
if he's killed her housekeepers and she's disappeared, it could have been a a false flag operation to allow her to escape.
Well, that's cooler what I
And
thought
and
of.
he's been
yeah,
visiting.
exactly.
And if he's been visiting these guys, then he's you never know.
Well, I don't see. Yeah, anyway, I think proximity
Let's
to the
just beat it.
Numenera has changed her and Thomas, and she got to the stage where she couldn't show her face, so therefore she fled. Anyway, yeah.
Law question: is the Numenera just fucking radiation? Is that what we're dealing with here?
So,
No, it's nanite swarm, I reckon.
Numenera is just. You mean this specific one?
It's generally.
so Numenera is the general term for technology which is misunderstood and might as well be magic.
So yes, it could quite
Pretty
feasibly be
much
some sort of
anything.
radiation.
So some of it is radioactive, and some of it is nanotechnology, and some of it is just straight digital electronics, and some of it is
Weird shit.
curious hydraulics, and some of it is alien in origin, and some of it is psychic powers and weird, interesting chemistry, and some of it is it's all this stuff that I'm not trained or smart enough as a GM to explain to you how it works. So I'm just going to say it's magic.
That's fine.
Shit that nobody
That's fine.
understands.
Yep, that's the reasonable explanation, I think. Cool.
And if you were to have lived for the previous billion years and lived as an engineer, you might have a half decent understanding of all the things you find, but never a full understanding.
Mm-hmm.
There's things like there is established as being a nanosphere in the world. So this is the way that nano wizards work, is by interacting with that. And so whereas in D&D you have a weave of magic through the world, in Numenera you have just nanite clouds around everywhere, and they're microscopic, so they don't really interact with things unless you need them to. And I mean, you being a jack, you can learn certain tricks and esoteries, and so you might learn little tricks that involve running tiny computer programs in the air that work in that way. And yeah, as I say, as what am I trying to say there? Yeah, as a nano, you would learn fairly complex tricks in that way. Or to interact with the network of half dead, half crazy satellites floating above the Earth, waiting for signals, or all kinds of things.
Awesome.
Yeah. The world is more complicated and simpler. What is old is new again. But in this case, you have something which is like a weird kind of self-replicating machine. This is the thing where you have something which is coiling outwards and pushing into the earth and tearing it apart and rebuilding itself and rebuilding Earth as it goes. And it's slow. It's you couldn't watch it go necessarily, but it's definitely happening. And if you were to measure the valley every day, and then the day after that, and the day after that, you definitely notice thing in action.
It's just a goat farm creator.
Yeah. Sorry.
What are you sorry for?
A goat simulator, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, that was the inspiration for the campaign, definitely. just wanted you guys to hang out with some goats. No.
Right, well, if we're at the outside of this kind of hut or whatever, I'll just shout out Starla.
Starla!
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 And the guy with the knife, the Marga that you've been following with the knife, it does his weird grunting laugh again, and walks up to the largest of the huts and bangs on the frame of it with his hand.
Sorry, the Make America Great Again.
Yeah.
The Make America Goats Again.
Yep.
People.
So they'd spell M-A-R-G-R. Marger.
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 Like Gollum, but Marger.
Marger. And what comes and opens the door is taller still. You know, the rest of these people have been shorter than any of you, but this, you know, what you see at the door might be 2.5, 3 meters tall, and comes and stands. And this is more like a person, but his face is long and his shoulders are broader than they have any right being, and his back is hunched, and his neck is particularly kind of saggy, almost turkey necky. But his hands are stumped and cloven. And the door of the hut that it swings open. It is wooden planking, and it kind of held together with hide, and it swings open. This very large goat man stands in and looks down on you. She's not here after all. Pilgrimage, she said. Duty, she said.
Pilgrimage.
Too well.
That's what she said. Duty, she said.
But you have seen her.
You're too late. And he comes out of the hut and straightens, and you realise, that this guy is half any of your height again, and big and broad, probably very strong looking. And what happens? He looks down into the dark and points. Couldn't keep her here. They brought her, they left. They wouldn't keep her. I didn't want to keep her. She said, and the one next to him goes, and you hear a all through the dark as all of these goat people do the weird coughing laugh that they've been doing.
Who brought
Kind of,
her?
rippling off.
What's the pilgrimage? What's she going to do?
That's what you get.
Who brought her here?
Another one. Another one.
Another surface person, human.
Nah.
Another one of you?
Yeah. No, well, more than one. More than one. Others, another one.
Yeah. Was she a captive, or did she come of her own free will?
Collar. Collared, yeah.
Collared. Ooh.
Where'd she go?
Yeah. Couldn't keep her here. Left her collar, and he holds up this kind of this chain with, as you say, he pulls out of his heart. It is a chain with a collar that would fit around a person's neck, and throws it onto the spinning gear beneath you. The kind of turning ground.
Why was she collared?
Yeah, didn't want to come. Guess didn't want to come.
No,
Didn't want to stay either.
He pointed down into the darkness, did he? saying
Yeah,
that she went that way, kind of thing.
yeah, but it's kind of difficult at this point to get a sense of direction and to say whether that is away from to say whether that's away from the entrance that you've come in or not, and whether that would be, which direction that would be, because you realize that the ground you're standing on is spinning in relation to other ground, and there are fixed points, there are columns of earth holding the ground and the ceiling together, and there are areas that are not turning. But you think if you stayed here for too long, a point is not necessarily an indicator of one particular direction, maybe. And yet he did definitely point in one direction, and then what am I trying to say here? Yeah, he only pointed in one way briefly, and the disc is spinning slowly enough that he probably, was precise. He didn't just point behind him or just point ahead of him. He had to work out where he was going and point there, and then put his hand down again fairly quickly.
Right, we just go on.
I think so.
Follow the way you pointed.
Yeah. And you can make your way there with the disc, and you can orient yourselves by points of light and points of flame that aren't moving, and columns of cylinders of rock and pillars that are here and around and things like that, and make your way to them without losing things. And things head on there, and
Bloody
the
strange.
ground ahead.
This is bloody strange. Who would have taken her?
Yeah, we have to find her other way.
Yeah, let's go. Look for that beach.
Indeed.
Right, it's 9 o'clock. Do you mind if I go and grab a drink really quickly?
Absolutely.
Do as you
I need
please.
to do so. Time to go for a wee.
Yeah.
Bird.
Yeah. So give it a couple of minutes, and then I'll be right back.
Yeah. Same.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I think. Give me one more quick dice roll. Okay.
Hiccups.
Haha.
Sorry for the delay. Back now.
It's all right. All good.
Yep.
Don't have to get back now yet either. So.
I am here.
Oh well, suck it.
Just
I will
did.
not.
nip out to the shops. That's what we'll be a few minutes.
Okay.
Saw a cop, a Garda. Yeah. She must have been 5'5". Didn't even know they lifted the height restrictions. She was fucking tiny.
Interesting. Height
Yeah.
restrictions.
Yeah, they used to have height restrictions. It used to have to be 5'10" for a dude, and I think 5'8" for a woman.
Yeah.
She'd still hit you with the stick pretty hard, I bet.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
the
she probably would.
fucking nuts.
I
Yep.
consider some of the fat fuckers who were 6'4" but couldn't run down a flight of stairs, you know.
Exactly.
Apparently, they're no longer required to a minimum height requirement in the UK either.
I think that's been a thing for quite a long time, on it. At least 20 years.
I don't know. I never thought about it. I should Google it.
Okay, I'm just having a last little bit of weird shaky leg, and then I'll
Weird shaky leg.
yeah, just
Fucking leg.
sitting but not sitting still. Yep. Because sitting still is for suckers.
True that.
2001 was when the cops started changing that.
Cops started being 21st century. Wait, that never
Replaced
happened.
it with the physical competency test.
They did away with it.
Yeah.
Isn't that the plot of Police Academy? The premise, so to speak. They did away with the requirements for joining the police, and therefore anyone could do it.
Oh, is
so.
that why all those mutants were in?
Yeah, I wondered how AJ Ascension got in there.
You're confusing with Umbrella Academy. Yeah. You can get into the police as a convicted murderer. As a acquitted murderer who obviously did it. Pretty sure that was after.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And alleged.
Everyone knows he did it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Don't mind me. Okay. So, you're walking off into the dark, across the gears, in the rough destination. The area is not well lit enough that you can see much beyond the tint of your lamp. The ground, as I say, shimmers. This grinding sound over around most of what you could hear, and being able to hear where things are is as I say, kind of difficult to say the least. But you are able to make way and roughly hold a bearing, orienting yourself from point to point, from landmark to landmark, keeping going with it. What will happen though is
Dun dun dun. Nothing.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you said something.
I said dun dun dun.
Okay. Well, regardless, give one of those to somebody, please, Kix.
Alright.
I just have one. Give one to Gav.
Gav.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as you step across and tarry and skip and stroll, you are not quite as nimble as the goatee hosts that you attend to, and your foot slips between the teeth of a gear. Can I get you to make me a speed defense roll or something like that?
Yes.
Is that everyone or just Gex?
No, just Gex.
Sure. 10.
Cool. Your boot catches, and for a moment you feel the pinch against the edges and the side of your boot, and you worry that you are not going to need a boot quite so big after this moment, and yet at the last moment you are able to lift your foot quickly out the way, and you are just about quick enough that you don't quite lose a foot. This serves, if nothing else, as a reminder that the area you're moving through is
Gears.
mechanical and dangerous and does not care about you.
Yeah. Be even more careful from now on.
Insert joke about my wife.
That's in character.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Apparently there's a sound of a great hissing of gas from the mechanism.
Yep, that's exactly what that is. 1 second more. But hopping through and skipping through, there are, as I've said, kind of odd points of light, but they grow thinner and further between. You are further and further from the encampment and from the entrance to the cavern that you pass through. Odd other noises do ring out, odd kind of glimmers that suggest that you are maybe not alone moving through this cavern. You know, they lurk, but nothing jumps out at you. And then, after passing from the site of the camp, a light in the dark does shine again. This is clearly, you can tell from the quality of the light, another lantern. It is behind glass. It has a certain flare to it, that it is lensed and it moves around. No, it's not moving. Sorry, it is still, but something in the shadows moves around it.
Okay.
And as you go closer, are you moving, quietly, or are you talking as you move, or?
Moving carefully.
Yeah, cautiously. Only speaking when we have to. I should think.
Yeah. Have both the lanterns lit as well.
You kind
So you
of
have both of your lanterns lit, yeah?
using a
Yeah.
spear as a walking stick, maybe.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
say
fine.
I'm
That's
moving
reasonable.
cautiously, but not necessarily stealthily, because I am unable to do so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and having crunched your foot,
Yeah.
this is something that's going to catch your attention. You're going to be attention to your footing than to your grace, perhaps.
Yeah.
So, what's that? As you come closer to it, you see in the gloom, in the darkness, there's still a little way off, but somebody picks up. Somebody human-sized, you can't quite tell if they're fully human-shaped, picks up the lantern and moves and steps behind or inside something out of view again. And you can make out by this point, at least the solid mass that they have moved in is again more of this smooth, gleaming rock, dotted with crystals and black and glossy. Polished almost would be the word. And they've gone behind or inside something. What you have in front of you is a rounded wall that is, much wider than, perhaps as wide as the road you walked along. It is wider than a cart, wider than a person. You can't tell how far in it goes until you get a fair bit closer.
Okay, we'll continue going forward. Maybe I'll take a cautious step and attempt to get a bit of a better eye on what it is.
Going to split off, or the three of you going to try and walk around this from a bit of a distance?
Yeah, I'm just going to try head towards the light.
So the light source ahead of you has gone inside or behind something. You can't see it now from where it is.
Okay.
Where it's gone.
We'll just move towards this wall, see how high it is, go over it if necessary, go around it if we can't.
So what you've got is, rather than it being a wall, it's like a mass, or it's bigger than the columns that you've been moving past, but it is certainly connected between the ceiling and the floor, that you can see at least. The cavern isn't especially high, and very consistently, especially with the reflection of your lantern from the floor, you have been able to catch glints and glimmers from the ceiling as well.
Okay. Well, I'll just move around it then.
Yeah. And coming up and around the side, from, let's say, about 20 meters away at this point, you're able to see a spot that is darker than the others, but it isn't holding place. It is, like everything else, very gradually turning. And it's hard to tell whether the land that you're on is turning around this, or whether this thing is spinning in front of you. But you'd have to be, yeah, it's not a fixed position. This large column, this large mass, is itself turning, but there's a spot that doesn't glimmer, and this could well be a hole or an entrance in the side of it. You don't see the light inside there, though.
All right, we'll go up to the dark spot and just see if it is just shadow. Or
And as you
whatever.
get closer, yeah, it's an entrance. And the grinding sound, you can hear this wall in amongst everything else. Things getting towards the word cacophony would come to mind. In terms of just the feeling in the room, the feeling of the writhing ground, and the constant turning, and the very subtle grinding of rock on rock on rock pushing against each other. Quite what's propelling this, you're not entirely sure, but yeah, you can venture in if you want to look for more.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll
Yep.
follow him.
Starla!
And you call there, and you call into the darkness, and there's in with you again. It's a kind of tunnel that goes in here, but you can see already this tunnel twists, and it twists around the inside of this column, and your voice echoes back and through. And then after a second, a young woman's voice comes back, and she says, "Don't come! I'm not."
You say? Sorry. That's a holdover from last week.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I'm,
is.
I'm
Yeah.
going in anyway.
Yeah.
But I'll
Okay.
be shining the torch ahead of me so she'll see
Yeah.
the light.
Yeah.
We're friends! We came from your village. The people there are worried.
Yep.
Go back! Tell them I'm fine!
Can we see you?
Oh, Starla.
Has your Numenera gotten out of control, Starla?
It's not mine. I never wanted it.
Can you shut it down if you have to?
And you don't get an answer, and as you're moving further into this, it's like you're in a kind of spirally coil of a tunnelway within this, and the sound of the rock and the earth turning is louder and louder, and you would have to shout just to be heard next to one another at this point. Your voices are traveling, but she doesn't appear to, that you can hear call back.
All right, we'll just keep pushing down the spiral. I'm assuming it's going into the center, and that we'll see the inner workings of this and her eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
And after a moment, it coils around and it coils around, and you travel around twice fully, it feels like, before you get into another doorway and opens up, and it is bright. It is so bright that after, what might be an hour underground, it hurts your eyes to be in a room which is not even as bright as daylight, but very well lit. And through here you have a single turning black geared column which comes down from the ceiling and meets the earth. And the shape of this room and the dimensions of it, you realize, will match very well with the room on the first floor of the Sanders house in Sanderglen. And the shape of the turning on the ceiling.
Do we see an exit by any chance? Is there a connection between the two places?
So no, so you've come into here, and the room itself is not bare. There are wooden tables, decrepit and dusty and not well cared for wooden tables. And at one of them, with her back turned to you, is a young woman with a lantern on the table, and she's leaning on the table with her shoulders shaking. She has long blonde hair, and she's wearing that you can see what would be, a light lacy nightgown underneath a hide cloak. The hide cloak looks like it's the sort of thing that the Marga that you've met earlier would have been wearing, but it fits her quite well. And she's shaking like she might be crying. That would be your first guess, looking.
Can we help you? I'll say as quiet a voice as I can, whilst still being heard.
And she looks, and as you guessed, the tears are streaming down her face.
Her goatee face?
No, human face, perfectly human face.
Okay.
She doesn't appear to be warped or misshapen at all. She's just, I want to stop it.
What do you wish to stop? The machine?
I don't know how. They never taught me.
Who's
So
they?
Why would they?
Eunice never taught you.
Mother.
Well, maybe we can help.
Is that
Surely the control mechanism from your house is where this work should be done.
That's that's not the control. That's just where we just see that it's working from there. It's where we watch, and we watch it, and we see that it's been going. But they always told me that there was that the seed was down here.
Is there any sort of control mechanism on her desk, or is she poring over documents or something?
So there are wooden tables, and there are a few kind of odd artifacts and things like that. But the way that they appear, you would kind of guess that things were like gardening implements. There is a pot and a shovel there. And then there is like an earthenware bottle and an old, rusty-looking knife. Particularly parts of the blade look well spotted with rust.
Okay, well, Doctor,
Uh,
turning around to well, actually, I don't even know if you are a doctor. Yeah, turning around to the others. We just any
Not a
ideas?
medical doctor.
Yeah, not
I,
that type of doctor.
I want to find out is
Um,
what's happened with regards your place in the town. Your household was killed. Was that? Are they trying to run you out, or are they trying to find you?
that piece of dirt. I never liked him. I never trusted him.
Laurel or
Lyrell or
Thomas?
Yeah.
Thomas?
Lyrell. Thomas,
Lyrell.
both of them, all of them. That whole blasted town.
We
I'll
we
cave it in.
Would you reap what you
well
sow?
we came to the conclusion that Lyrell obviously was he'd
the murderer.
killed your household, but he tried to disguise it to make it look like these fine Marga people had done it and kidnapped you.
They're not fine. They're not anything. They're horrible. They stink.
Well, won't argue that.
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah,
there are a few things that separate us, though.
that's something I can agree with.
But either way, what your family has unleashed here 50 years ago doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon.
No, I can stop it. I know I can stop it. And she starts rummaging between things, and there are kind of trestle boxes like little pallets, and pots, and what she finds is a dusty old book with parchmented paper and torn edges in there, and starts piecing through it. We can stop it. We can stop it.
Okay, I'll go over and I'll take a proper look around the room. And just from all I've seen from the outside of this seed, and I want to make I'm inept or whatever the fucking terminology is at
Yeah.
understand Numenera. Can I make the roll anyway?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to drop 3 points of intellect on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And in fact, I'm going to temporarily spend XP in order to, can I alleviate that skill somehow? Or can I?
What you can do by spending a point of XP is you can give me a bit of detail that you think would
Can
well,
help you get.
tell you what, spend a point of XP, make the roll, and I will tell you how it ties in with something else as well.
Okay.
And I will give you a bit of information
Oh my
based on
God.
experience that you have
I've
as well as
rolled the
that.
dice 4 times tonight and they've all been 13s.
Exceptional.
Yeah, so there's,
You gave me a point.
yeah, so where did that one come from?
Did you just put that there? You've just dragged that there, haven't you?
Well, I had 2 in my hand. Yeah, so
Well,
that's
When did you have 2 in your hand?
your thing says you got 3, which
I've given you 2. I've given you 1, and Gex gave you 1 tonight. So
yeah,
Oh, Gex gave me one. Sorry.
yeah, from his last
Yes.
intrusion when he crushed his boot.
yeah.
So I've
Sorry.
just taken 1 off you.
I
It's fine.
didn't see that. Yeah. So now I've got 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you're looking at here looks indeed to be have been gardening equipment, and that seems bizarre in such a sterile environment, and yet you're reminded almost instantly of what you've been looking at this whole time since you came underground. And this is in your travels, in your time in the world, you came across a point in the forests of the Westwood of a plant which grew at an alarming rate, and the branches and the root system itself seemed to writhe and turn and grab at the dirt and grasp at the dirt before your very eyes. And the way that the gears and the columns and the turning polished rock has spread beneath Sanderglen and pushed aside of the earth above it reminds you very much of the fast growing, almost animated plant life up in the woods, up beyond there. Now, when you were there, the way to prevent this was flame. You were able to stop the growth by scorching the ends of it, and that probably won't work here. You were able to burn the ends of different roots to stunt their growth, to prevent, say, a certain threat. But
If this is a type of terraforming machine, surely it has a blueprint or an instruction set it runs off.
so you notice that Starla is piecing through a book, and some parts of the book appear to be old parchment and they're old yellowed paper, and some are clear and yet printed on or punched through even.
Ask her if I can take a look at the book.
And she looks and says, "It's mine. You can't have it."
I'm going to attempt
my
to
Friend
persuade
here is
her.
an expert archaeologist.
Exactly. I'm going to attempt to persuade her.
An expert?
Yes.
In what? What have you studied? You don't know
Uh,
anything about this.
I'm going to tell her to calm. My entire life's work is based around the Numenera. Please allow me to have a look, and we'll see if we can piece this together between us.
Life's work. Well,
Persuasion
look,
roll 11, and I'm trained in it.
yeah, and she'll look at the book down again, and she said, "Look, I can't even find what I'm looking for. If you think you can find it, you're looking for the section on rapid shutdown, emergency shutdown, and she'll pass it to you."
Okay, and then can I spend some intelligence and use my skills in my flex skill in Numenera to try and find some shit? So I'm going to ease it 1.
Yeah.
And I am blah 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 trained.
Yep.
1.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
You spend XP to roll it again?
Yes, I
You
can.
can definitely spend a point of XP to roll that again. Yeah.
Here you go.
Cool.
That's what it's there for.
That's
There you
a lot better.
That's the polar opposite.
Yep.
Okay. So I had some stuff planned for earlier in the adventure that would have made a lot more sense of this, but Sam, this seems oddly familiar to you, and perhaps you'll get a chance to come back to this. It's almost like it's kind of bringing up a weird memory of early childhood for you, or something like that. That a machine like this, the code that this instruction manual is written in, makes an awful lot of sense to you. It's written in some language that you don't remember learning. Oh, hello.
Right.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to be...
Okay, I really need a wee, so yeah.
Yeah, do that, and I'll be right back to you.
How the fuck have I rolled 3 20s in one session? What's going on? And 2 1s?
I rolled 2 19s in a row and Gav rolled 3 13s.
How many dice rolls have I rolled? Maybe 6?
I think I've got 4 13s.
What the
Is there
fuck
a way
is
to
going
go
on?
back and see the logs?
Um,
I've rolled a shitload of 13s last week as well.
Yeah, it's weird.
maybe game broke, yo.
Well, it's physics, isn't it? It's just strange.
I don't know.
Do you want me to get you a new D20, Gav?
Yeah, one that's not weighted for 13s, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's just
You can use the
like
screen one over
even
here
while
instead.
we played whatchamacallits, even playing D&D, it was just unusual dice rolls, shall we say. But no, I'm happy.
We'll
13's better than 2. I'll
we'll
take
load
it
in
if that's all I'm
some
loading.
we'll load in some salt water and see if we can float them.
Yeah.
That might seem to be pretty random.
Right, so go on.
All right, so yes,
Am you
Sam's
back?
yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, we'll let him piss for a moment more.
I'm back.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, my brother's just told me he's moved to Bristol. Carry on.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So this makes a lot of sense to you, and you're able to piece through this. And this is very clearly a computer manual for a terraforming project. Is exactly the words that we've been using here. And what the fuck is the name of the thing that I was writing down here? because I've got to flick back through notes for a couple of weeks back.
There's something terraformer. There's a significant dollar value attached to that device. You know, our companies, we make those.
So we take off and
Should have been looking this up while we were.
fireball the site from orbit.
Having a pee. I don't matter.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Stop using notebooks and just write everything in one note.
Well, yeah, I should do. Yeah.
One note's great for that. Although you still flick through fucking tab after tab looking for the shit you need. You never have it all in front of you.
Microsoft products. Ew.
One note's great. Ain't no better GM tool.
Yeah, but it's fun to use. It's fun to use pens and paper. So the word mogrifor comes up a lot in the document, and this seems familiar to you in a way that you can't quite explain, but that's okay. But yeah, this is some kind of terraforming project, and it is, as we've kind of worked out, that basically the idea would be that it would be installed into an environment and would take control and allow the artificial shaping of that environment. What appears to be happening here is growth beyond. Is a kind of ill-defined installation, and so it's been built for growing over a certain area, but because it was improperly installed, it is growing out of control. And so while it would have been set to, right, let's control a 100-meter square area, kilometer square area, blah 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 blah, it is continuing to grow and is continuing to affect the landscape in ways that it shouldn't, and is not sustainable at all. It's the sort of thing that in maybe another 100 years or so will start to tear the landscape that it's installed in apart. You're able to make pretty good sense of that. However, what Starla has mentioned is an uncontrolled shutdown was the phrase, and that that would trigger in the same way that allowing the machine to run uncontrolled and unmodified would start to tear it apart. An uncontrolled shutdown would expedite that process. It would stop the spinning of the machines and grind them to a halt in much the same way as pulling a video out of a VHS without stopping it would have that effect. Things that were being supported by the spinning of the machinery, things that are being sustained and built and grown and created, would be torn down as things collapsed around them. This is the kind of first bit of information that you come across here, and so you have 3 or 4 different things you can do here. The first of all being nothing, and you can leave. The second being that you can go with this unsustained shutdown, this uncontrolled shutdown. The third being a controlled shutdown or a modification of the program to change what it is doing, and you can find different ways of doing that throughout the manual that you have.
Okay.
I'd like to ask Starla what would be the best way to do this in terms of the village and the surrounding lands.
I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. We have given them everything, and this is how they show up at my house and try to. Oh goodness!
I hardly think she's a reliable source of information. She seems to be emotionally unstable.
They can't all be evil, is no.
Well, apart from that one arsehole with a laser pistol that we want to kill and loot his pistol.
Absolutely. So we can't just destroy the town.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. Who cares?
Controllable shutdown.
Well,
Yeah.
Might make it
We
easier.
all
Might make it
we
more
all live in
difficult.
this world.
Carry on.
I wouldn't want to leave. I wouldn't feel inclined to leave without stopping it somehow.
Yeah.
Can we?
I wouldn't want to emergency stop it if the cave we're in is going to collapse.
Well, yeah, and also, Thomas offered us a reward. Don't want him falling down into a cabin.
Well,
And your
and the reward.
artifact
And
that
Archibald.
you're carrying
and
and
Yeah.
Archibald are in the village still.
So I
We have
guess
to go for a controlled.
we have to go for controlled shutdown.
Or a modification. Although it's been, because of the way it's been installed, you can kind of surmise some, and I'm going to give you this much information again because you put effort in, because you did you rolled really bloody well. That anything that you were to do other than shutting it down would be unstable or difficult to control.
Right. Well,
Difficult to do reliably. So
Should
you
we
can
shut
shut it down. Yeah.
reliable and safe. And then if the woman isn't coming back with us to Thomas, we're taking her by force.
Yeah. Fuck all these goat bastards.
Well,
Yeah.
Thomas still ordered the hit on her. People. He's just as guilty as Laurel.
Yeah, but I want
Yeah,
the fucking money.
We'll get the money and we'll kill him too.
Yeah,
Well,
kill
just
him.
take his money if you really want to steal the money from him.
We'll kill him and we'll kill Laurel.
Well, why do we have to kill them? I don't want their deaths on my hands.
Because they've inconvenienced us in our
Jesus,
journey.
I wouldn't want to be your enemy.
Because they have wronged us, broken the law.
Yeah, so let the law deal with them.
What law?
The
They
law
are the
is
law.
corrupt. Their sheriff is corrupt.
Yeah.
I say
I feel
we
like-
have a man right here who has a much greater grasp on what's right and wrong with regards to the law.
They make their own law out here, and right now I think the law is in need of a change of hands.
Well, let's start at the beginning and shut this thing down.
Yes, Jed, what
Let's
do you
go.
want me to do to shut this down?
So around the room that you are in, and you can ascertain this, there are there are certain kind of hollows and certain kind of segments, and certain patches that are lit up. And there's a sequence that you'd be able to interact with those to shut things down. Again, Sam, basically you've been able to get a very good grasp on how this thing works. And I think if anybody else had made the roll, I might be making this more difficult. But this makes uncannily good sense to you. This is like if you were to have designed the machine yourself. It feels like it's properly intuitive to you. And you're able to fairly quickly find the combination and the sequence of different panels and different lit up sections to push. And Starla sees you doing this, and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" That's the one for the. And she's pointing to a red light rather than a white one that you're coming from pressing. That's the one for killing it or for smashing it. I just wanted to make sure that you're doing the wrong order. I'm sure. Are you doing the right order? What are you doing? And she's not leaving you alone as you're going through the sequence for shutting the machine down.
She being emotionally unstable enough for a backhand.
For your character, no. Yes, definitely.
I want to, backhand her and tell her to sit down. I know what I'm doing.
And I'm not going to make you roll for that because you're slapping a teenage girl, and I'm not going to facilitate that through rules.
He will not be a part of that.
But that's fine, and
I was gonna
you
whip
do.
her.
And she falls to the ground like everything should.
Yes. And then I will go for the white one, as we've researched in the book.
And you hear around you the machine slowing and quietening and shaking ever so slightly, and the tremor in the air and the whirring of the ground and the slight just general air of vibration changes and slows very slightly. And it's going to be a little while before things shut down entirely, but you're pretty confident that this has done the job.
Okay. Sweet. I'm going to say C. I know what I'm doing. I do apologize for being so rough-handed. You were being emotional.
And she's weeping there on the ground again. She says, "I'll never go back. Well, I won't go back. You can't make me."
I'll help her back up to her feet and say, well, you don't have to go back. Where would you go? You could go north of the city.
Yeah,
Where are you going?
We're going to aim.
Well, you're not coming. We're going to Ain. And
Well, fine, I'll
also,
go there. Take me with you. Please take me with you. Please, please.
Oh, do we
I'll do anything.
anything?
well, we have room on the cart.
She could meet us at the end of the valley. We go back to town so they don't know that we have her, maybe. Or we could take her back and fuck everybody up.
Well, doesn't really bother me either way. She doesn't want to go back. She can wait somewhere, and we'll pick her up.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. And let's
hold on,
also make sure this thing can't be activated again.
Well, yeah. We should maybe say that she was killed by... Wait, now. If we make up some excuse, Thomas...
No, we need proof
Yeah.
to show the rest of the villagers.
Alright. Take a
Yeah,
finger.
what you needed was evidence of some sort.
Does she want to disappear? I'm going to ask her in a very odd way. So that people never look for you again. I'm not saying this stroking a spear. Because
Surely you have resources in town that you'll need.
Yeah, if there's people...
Starla, do you have money in your house that you'll need? You
And
can't just
she
walk into a city empty-handed. It'll chew you up.
she looks and her eyes widen as though she's only just realizing and thinking this, and she'll fine, yeah, we'll go, and we'll oust those absolute fuckers, those thieves that wanted to take what's mine, and
Thieves
they
and the
should
fact
all...
that they've taken what's yours is hardly as important as the fact that they murdered 2 people.
Yeah.
So I think you might have to grow up a little bit here, young lady.
And they
Good.
inconvenienced us and took our cart away from us. We have an axe to grind.
wow, that and they've made a
Well,
mockery of the laws of the land and done as they please. More than enough
Well, look,
reasons.
let's get out of here and go back.
Yeah.
there, yes, let's go.
Alright.
You lead the way.
Right.
Okay.
Those Magyar won't be able to do anything with this device, will they? Looking at Arnold.
Will they?
You don't. So you don't. They're typically not smart enough in and of themselves.
Is
The
it-
room looks like it hasn't been disturbed until she's come into it for a long time. The amount of
Yeah.
dust and things that are in the area. The other thing is then without the book, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to operate it.
Should we destroy
Is-
the book?
Yeah, well, no. Can we disable the
Take or
machine now that it's stopped?
Or
So you've set it to slowly wind down.
Hmm.
But the
we-
way things are made, without you're not going to be able to unmake what it's done, and actually removing it. Basically, you'd have to do it with a pickaxe and remove the rock bit by bit by bit.
Can I cave in the entrance? Perhaps with my cipher that makes holes. Like throw it above the roof and
Yeah,
bring the entrance down.
That would be a way of doing it, yeah, to destabilize the rock there, yeah.
Are we in agreement, gentlemen?
But what if? Yes, ostensibly. But what if
Yes.
something untoward is still occurring in a year's time, and we need to get back?
We'll bring some pickaxes.
Am I satisfied with myself that they won't be? I think I am, with my roll of a 20.
Okay, well,
Yeah, you think you are.
when you
Yeah.
say it with such confidence as that, you really inspire the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If Arnold's happy that this thing is now finished, let's cave it in.
All right.
I'll hand one of the. I'll take a lantern and lead Starla out, and we'll move away from the seed and back the way we came.
In that case, I would use my detonator cipher if I can. I'd aim it
Yep.
at some point above the entranceway to this chamber that looks like it's going to drop a hell of a lot of rock. And yeah, chuck it and just make a speedy getaway before it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this it throws, so you slide it and you throw it and it smashes against the rock roof, and what actually happens is it kind of splashes. What am I trying to say there? Yeah, so it kind of splashes a liquid almost, but the way that you've thrown it is you've weakened a point of the rock that then causes more rock, the rock below where it splashed, to collapse and fall down into the space. It's not going to completely block the tunnel, but it's going to be enough to impede anything going in, and anything smart is going to look at that ceiling and wonder whether it's safe to walk underneath.
Good enough.
Will do.
Well,
That'll do.
we venture out.
Yeah.
Yes. Past the Magger.
Are you going to head back in the way that you thought was towards the camp first, and then?
Back the way we came, because we
Yeah.
at least know that way, even if it possibly is perilous.
We might run into them again and they might have questions.
Well, they're not too smart.
They're not so big.
They'd feel good on the end of my spear. Whee!
You don't even know. And so you walk back through the dark. That's the first thing to note here is yeah, the darkness is still there. Things seem, as I say, quieter. The kind of gleaming of the rock and the reflection is still as present as ever, but the feeling of movement and the general kind of grinding in the air, it is not gone, but it is less. Very noticeably. It's changed in pitch. It is deeper and there's less volume, basically, as you head on through the dark of the cavern beneath Sander Glen. The rocks, the gears that make up some parts of the floor, the columns, the turning gears and columns that make up the that stretch beneath the floor and the ceiling are still present, but they're still present. They're still moving, but it's a little slower, just a little slower. You make out coming ahead of you the camp, and you know at this point, with things being quieter, I'll say that you actually haven't heard or seen any other Marga moving in the dark on this way. But at the point where you do see the camp, Starla stiffens and crouches next to you, and she's been walking fairly close to you, Gav, if you've been at the point there at the front. Yeah. And she'll whisper, "Turn the lamp off, turn the lamp off, turn the lamp down."
It's all right. We came through this way before.
In fact, I'll call that an intrusion because she's being weird. So again, take 2 of those.
Yeah.
That's
there you go,
my
Dex.
third intrusion of the session. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn the lamp down. Turn it off.
No. It's fine. It's fine. We came this way. We can't make ourselves look like we're scared of them.
Yeah, but I am scared of them, and
Well, you've got me here.
It's gonna
I'll
raise
unhook.
my
And my
hand.
axe.
I'll unhook, like not unhook, but I'll raise my shield up to kind of, yeah, just block her gaze, and I'll just keep her arm in mine, and we'll just make our way through the camp as if we have balls of steel.
so you're up on approach to the camp, and you'll notice then coming up closer to the buildings and coming in an area where you can start to make them out. When I say buildings, I mean they are shacks and tents and lean-tos. That there are other Margas standing a little, just at the edges of your lamplight, and you can see the glint of eyes and maybe of steel points and buckles here, there, and everywhere, glimmering in the dark, just catching bits of light. But in by the fire at the center of the camp,
Guys,
and
if
in
this
the
goes
litter,
down, I'm gonna rush for the big one. You get her out.
so the big, bare, kind of fairly hairless man with the long face and the sagging, drooping neck is stood next to a tall, lean Marga, much more goat-looking, much hairier, large horns, horns that bring him fully to nearly the same height as this other man, but slighter, and his legs are short and bowed. And this one, you notice, has red feathers hanging from his leather clothing. And they are talking. And when I say talking, I mean grunting at each other and and the way, even with that, you can ascertain it's not pleasant the way that they're speaking to one another. Their body language, they are both lowering their heads and shifting from foot to foot and moving. The smaller one especially is moving backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. The large one is standing by his hut, and doesn't want to move at all, but his head is still coming up and down and up and down. They're both quite animated. The smaller one is pointing to the chain on the floor, and then as you're all approaching it, and I'm going to keep this as part of that same intrusion, one of you steps and your footstep makes a noise on the large turning gear where the camp is. And can I get the intrusion was to Gav. Gav, can I get you to make a speed defense roll, please?
Yeah, no bother. Here's for the 5th, 13.
Oh, 14.
14.
One
With
better.
all the
Yeah.
rolls.
Yeah.
You
Still
don't
the
quite
same.
see.
Sorry.
You don't quite see where it comes from. Yeah, it's still the same difficulty level, a 13 or a 14, or the same multiple of 3.
Yeah.
You don't quite see where it comes from, but an arrow comes out of the dark at you and goes clear past you. The light of the lamp has possibly dazzled whatever is aiming. It hasn't been able to get a good look at you, but something has fired in your direction, and the Marga with the red feathers hanging from his clothes draws his belt from his axe, draws from his axe from his belt, pardon me, and runs forward towards the large one to butt. Can I get everyone to roll initiative, please?
6.
5.
12.
12. Okay, so Gav, you will get chance to respond first there.
I'm going to delay my action until the 2 butt heads.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and they do. The smaller, leaner of the brings his head His horns are long and twisting and jagged, and they come down. They come careering towards the face of the larger hairless Marga, whose head comes down to meet it and meets it with a great clack, his forehead colliding into the other one, and both lock for a brief moment and then twist, and then the feathered Marga bounces back off again and stands back a little way. Are you going to respond now?
I'm just going to bellow at the two of them. You two are first if we come under attack again. That's all.
And
sorry, actually, as my proper
Yep.
action, I'm going to push, well, not push, guide herself behind me back towards the other two guys.
yeah, sure, yeah. Okay. And 2 more arrows are going to come your way. Can I get you to roll a couple of speed defense rolls again, please? And I'll get you to roll for it'll be for yourself and for her. I'm not going to put her at threat there, but that's
Okay, there was an 8 and a 14.
and those are both okay. You see, especially the second one coming, and you're able to kind of step cleanly out the way of it. There, the two in front of you seem utterly locked and focused on each other. These arrows are feathered,
Yep.
and then you hear arrows loosing in the dark, but you don't see where they're going, and you hear more violence erupting in the dark around you. Goated voices and goated, that's the word I want to use. Yeah.
Sounds good.
You know, and the shimmer from the glow from your own lamp and the flickering of the fire ahead of you doesn't quite cast far enough to see the spark of violence and the yelling and the shouting somewhere near a human's voice, but much too animal to really be it.
Yep.
As violence sparks and emerges. Gex, it would be your turn now.
Are they completely blocking our way out?
So you could go around or through the camp. If you go through the camp, it's probably going to draw you into the fight between these two. But they are the only two Marga that you can distinctly see.
Would moving into the camp protect us? As in, we'd be moving through huts. So
You'd be able to move, in and amongst huts. So if there are arrows flying through the air, that's probably going to be the only easy and spot that you can really see that's going to give you comprehensive concealment or cover from arrows.
Okay, I'd move towards the huts. I'd also get out my lantern and light it, and I'll yell at Arnold, throw the glow globes, get some light in here.
Did we not have the lanterns lit already?
Oh, we have both lit, yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm holding.
Would we be able to get a map, Jed, if this is going to break into combat?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think it might, and
I just want to yell at Arnold to. Is Arnold has the glow globes?
I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get
one.
I'd say throw the glow globes in the direction of the arrows. Maybe we can blind these guys.
Okay.
Yes.
Learn to draw, Jed.
Do you reckon I engage the guys that are fighting?
I'll draw with a mouse. Well, if you don't mind us talking, I'm gonna give my cipher that creates a bubble shield around me. I'm gonna give it to her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Next turn, and activate it for her. That'll keep her +4 armor for like 4 hours. Then I'm just gonna go fuck up the two big ones, and
Yeah, I'm considering.
Hopefully it scares off the little ones.
I'm considering throwing my gas at the two that are fighting.
I'm
Well,
considering
if the lanterns are oil based, and which I think they are.
Yeah, just set fire to some shit.
Set fire to the huts. If they're made of.
Yeah.
Well, depending on what they're made of, that'll create a bigger fire, get us more light.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, burning these cunts would probably be a good thing as well.
That's the main fire. Give me 2 seconds more, because I will position. I'm going to grab D6 and position you folks, if that's all right.
Yeah. Green is her.
Yeah, green is her. Yeah. And then I'm going to use the white one is the big guy, so let's make that one really big. And the black one is the other one here, and they are fighting by the fire there. The others you can't quite see, so the yeah, they are attacks are coming from long range or concealment, and so that's that's why one of the reasons they're not doing very well.
Okay. So,
This area that you are stood on here is the large gear that this camp is on, and so there are other spinning sections I don't know around.
Okay. Yes.
so yeah, saying then I'd move into cover here. I'd holler at the guys to maybe throw the orbs at where the arrows are coming from, and I want to throw my gas bomb at these two if I could. I can throw it a short distance, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you can get in close enough to throw that. Yeah. I'm going to remind myself exactly which page we need to get up for that one.
It's 280.
280. Yeah. Yep.
I guess, do I roll a D100 or something?
Yeah. So. Bear with me. That's that one. So actually, I want to.
We just rolled the baddies.
There you go. Roll those two, if you would.
All right. 57.
57. What does 57 do?
Corrosive gas.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Everything suffers damage equals the cipher level, which is 4.
4 points of damage. Yeah.
On both those guys. And I guess that'll be my turn.
Okay, and so they both burst into coughing, and the wall of this tent falls apart, like like it's made of paper and you've poured water on it. Worse, and they are having a bad time. These guys, the bigger one is on his knee, and it doesn't make him small by any standard, but he's having a hard time standing up, having done all that. That will then be Sam's turn.
Sorry, where's the exit for this?
This is the direction you're trying to head.
Okay, roger that.
So you're coming across it. And tell you what, let's, for the sake of being really cool, draw you a nice triangular exit over here.
Thank you.
That's where
That's
you're
the
actually
door.
trying to. Yeah, that'll be the door. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to heed to Gex's comment.
You know it's there, but you can't quite see that far.
I'm going to get a glow globe out. So this is
Yeah.
lit where these two big guys are.
That area is lit, yeah, and as far as the tents is lit by the fire, and so
Yep.
things that I've drawn you can see. These circles are like pillars in the rock, and they are gleaming and possibly lit. In fact, let's put in a couple more lights.
Can I do a kind of in one action? Can I use my Mr. Meeseeks box to create my instant servant and hand him a glow globe and tell him to run some direction with it?
I think creating him and turning on a glow globe would be an action each, if you know what I mean there. So, getting him up
Really
into
quiet.
You could bring him in.
I was just going to make him run around with the light to illuminate stuff.
Well, just for now. I mean, you could bring him in.
Yeah. Activating him is going to be activating him is going to be an action, and then giving him a glow globe and giving him an order is going to be an action.
What about where do we think the arrows have come from? Do we have any indication?
So the first one that came at, they've all come at Gav so far, and they've kind of come from over this way, let's say.
All right. Well, I'm just going to get the glow globe out and yeet it over there and light
Yeah,
it.
sure. Yeah. And And you see several Marga who kind of brace at it and watch it come in and land by them. They are fighting. So some are wearing the kind of plain, kind of whitish hide uniform, and some are wearing leathers with red feathers on.
Okay. In which case, I'll just, come with me. Is what I'll say to her.
Yeah.
And I'll just prepare to move with her.
Gav, this goes back to your turn.
Okay, I'm going to hand my device to Starla. It's
Yeah,
this one
sure,
here, the
yeah.
force shield.
Yeah.
I'll say hold this, and I'll activate it for her.
Yeah,
And then
great.
the rod will kind of extend out about 4 feet, and then a sphere will encompass her. It'll protect you. And then
And yeah, and it kind of peels back, and it's as though you've given her an instant suit of armor. She's wrapped up and encased in it.
And then just with the rest of with my movement, I'll just move up to beside where old Gex is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you going to leave her there with Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. That's your action. And so these two are fighting, and this one is moving a lot more than the bigger one. They're both kind of coughing and wheezing. But with his axe, he's going to bring down the axe towards the larger one. And being weakened from the gas, both are weakened, but the axe is, he's much too used to swinging a weapon, and he brings down this steel axe with the red feathers on the back of it. They're not looking in great condition, these feathers, and nor is the axe, but it's still good enough to find the head of this guy, and he buries the axe deep into his skull, effectively, and still spluttering, still coughing. The smaller feathered Marga looks over to you two and looks past past the tent, past Hector and Elias, over towards Starla. More fighting is erupting in the darkness, and you can see them over the side here. You can see some Marga wearing feathers, having feathered bows and leather, tend to be more violent, more capable, and tend to be winning in this situation. But they are fighting and they are occupying one another. The two different groups. Gex, what would you like to do?
I guess I will move. Well, I draw my crossbow.
Okay.
And is that reasonable distance to be able to shoot at
To
this
move?
guy?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll call that. Yeah, I'll call that an immediate distance.
I'll go there. I'll go there.
That's a good one. And you want to shoot at this fella?
Yeah, I do.
Make me an attack roll.
Okay. Speed, right? I'll ease it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
7.
That's good and lucky. Yeah. The he's not quite winded, but he's staggered and is slowly pulling, trying his best to pull the axe out of the head of his foe, and is therefore standing still. And you're able to quickly dash around, get the arrow up, and get the bolt up, and shoot cleanly into his chest, and he goes down quickly and wordlessly, not even looking at you. As I say, he's been looking over towards Starla, and yeah, with a vague look of surprise in his eyes.
Excellent.
Sam, would you like to take your turn?
Do I need to do anything to get her to follow me, or is she,
She's there with you. She's been left in your care. You can take her hand or something like that.
Yes, begrudgingly, I will take her hand and begin to move. Can I make her run with me?
Yeah.
And kind of just run to here?
Yeah, that'll be a short distance. So I'll give you that for free. If you want to move any further than that, I'd get a roll.
What kind of roll is it?
Are you trained in running or anything like that?
All of my training's in intelligence.
Yeah, fine. Well, it'd probably be a speed roll at this case.
I'll use it.
Yeah, sure.
19.
Yeah, that's fine, and you can get to the far side of the camp. You can even get to the edge of the gear.
Whew.
With that.
Fucking, I'm
And
out.
you're able to dash through there, and by this, there's a little bit of light here, and you can see the original Marga, the original kind of coughing, laughing Marga with the big knife, has his knife drawn at this point and is standing about here, and is looking to you and looking around in the dark and come on, run, run, calling you.
Okay.
But we'd go back around to your turn, Gav.
Okay, so these two big guys. Sorry, I thought the coughing,
Yeah.
laughing guy was one of those two big guys.
The really big one that came out of the tent was there. The one that was here was one you hadn't seen before.
Okay, just got a mistake there. Yeah, I'm gonna run after the guys in that case. So I will do my full-on run, and I will roll an 11.
And 11 will be enough to keep up with them.
Yeah, so I'll just stick myself there. Yeah, no immediate threat. I'm good.
Yeah, it's not a very difficult run to run across this slowly turning gear, but you're not winded or anything like that. However, on hearing and seeing Gex kill their leader, you've seen some of these guys in the guys with the red have been generally winning their fights. Few of the others that are dressed in the pale hide, like our friend up here, have been stabbed or killed in the darkness here. You've seen them go down with the globe over here.
We sided with the losers.
But with the nice people. Gex, can I get you to roll a speed defense roll, please?
Sure. I'll ease it. Oh, 4. It was almost a 20.
It was yes, but it was a very good idea to have eased it, because otherwise that would have gotten you. An arrow comes and hits this tent next to you.
Zoinks.
Yeah, comes in and lands clean into the pole which is holding it up, and that came very close. The gears around you are starting to turn, and when I say they are starting to turn, they twist, and the turning and the movement is different. You notice at this point, perhaps the directions are changing within you. We'll come back through to that. Will be your turn now, then, Gex.
All right, I'm just gonna try and catch up with these guys. Full on dash, and I'll ease the roll.
Yeah. So again, speed roll. Yeah.
19.
Easy.
Well,
Yeah.
I used it anyway.
You're easily able to get up and catch up with the rest of them at the edge of it. Sam, your turn next.
I'll just carry on past Mr. Knifey.
Yeah, you'll carry on up past him, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'll try and
You
run
do the
again.
same thing with the run.
Yeah.
It's not too difficult to make the run there. So an 11's fine. You can get up to the edge of the tunnel there.
My orbiting green dice.
And then, Gav, it will be your turn after Sam's.
I'll just run up to beside Goat Man, Goat Boy,
Sure.
and do you want help with these invaders?
They here too. Us. Another one. You run, you.
Okay.
And as he stopped and he's talking to you, a red flighted arrow comes out of the dark, perhaps from past you, perhaps from over here, and comes clean over into his chest, and you just
Oh,
see red
Can I-
flight.
Can I move
And the
to
blood-
intercept, or can I defend? Can I take the arrow for him?
Um,
I'll give you XP. You love XP.
you can. Tell you what, for the sake of it being really cool, I will let you make a defense roll, like a speed defense roll there. But it'll be kind of difficult.
Spidey senses tingling.
Okay, well, in that case, what I'll do is I'll ease it.
Yeah. So yeah, speed defense. Yeah.
There's a 12.
12, and that's ease. That's enough that you hear the bow loose behind you and are able to push him and yourself, and so you're able to push him as the arrow passes between you, cleanly.
I'd hit Starla.
Um,
No, I'm kidding.
yeah, and that's very cool.
Epic. He is the one.
Epic.
He's starting to believe.
Gav, you're going to notice one other thing as I said, Gex will have noticed, and then you'll notice next the movement of the gears, the movement of things has changed, and areas of the cave which were not moving before are now moving. In particular, against this wall, you notice something coming along here, and it is not going to be long before this entrance or exit to the tunnel is blocked.
Oh, bugger.
When I say not long, I mean it might be quite soon. That will be the end of your turn. The goatmen are having fights and attacks. You've pushed that guy out the way. Gex, would come on to your turn now.
Yeah, dash straight for the entrance.
Yeah, cool. So from where you are now, yeah, give me a roll.
12.
With the 12, you can make it up to about here.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
And that's kind of getting into long distance stuff, but it's not quite a marathon run there. And Sam, what would you like to do on your turn? Again, you've noticed basically a big rolling gear heading towards the tunnel entrance here.
Is there any way to stop it?
Make me a roll on this to begin with.
What am I rolling on, Numenera?
Yeah, given how well you've done at understanding the machinery, I'll say you're trained in this. I'll give you an asset on this.
Yeah, I was going to use it, but I've rolled it already, so too late.
Yeah, I think the way that it's moving, the force and the size of this thing, it's bigger than you are. I think if you were to try to physically stop it, you'd be crushed very easily, and you are a long way from the controls. It's looking at the groove that it is moving in. However, it is likely that this thing is, you can ascertain that, yeah, this thing is going to roll and block the tunnel, and it will be some time before it's able to be moved out. It might be that it can get in the way and you'd be able to smash through it, if, like I say, if you had something like a pickaxe or a sledge.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be an airtight seal. Anything inside is not going to suffocate, but it's it's closing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to fucking,
You can
move-
still move the short distance there, yeah.
move to there. Fucking yeet
And
her out the door.
And you're up in the tunnel.
My dice are in your area, so
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give them back to you.
I was just going to kick her out of the door and then stand there and say hurry for everyone
Yeah.
else.
So
So
you're up in the
she's
tunnel.
out. Yeah.
Have you got another glow globe? Did you draw them both and just throw one of them?
I used one before.
You already used one. Okay, so you don't have any others. But there's enough lamp light and
I
there's
still,
enough kind of ambient light.
I still have my lantern. I didn't throw that or anything.
Yeah, so you've still got your lantern. We'd come back around to Gav's turn.
Yeah, I'll move by the entrance and I'll stay with the entrance, shield up,
Yeah.
blocking any more arrows that are coming in, waiting for Gex.
Yeah, and he's able to get up and in. This guy here is going to run this way, with his knife out his side, roaring there. You can hear more fighting there in the dark. You can hear other arrows being loosed. Another arrow goes clean past our knife wielding friend here. We've already used Billy in this campaign, but otherwise that would be a good name for our goat.
Willie.
Well, he's this is goat business, and us folk don't like really to get involved in goat business, so I'm happy
Yeah.
to just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, That's fine. Gex, it would be your turn.
Okay. I'll I'll spend a point of XP. I
Okay,
want to
cool.
sprint towards the door,
Yep.
diving through at the last second, dropping my hat, and then I'll reach through and grab my hat just before the cog
Yeah.
rolls across the door.
Cool. I was definitely going to give you a GM intrusion of that, but if you want, so tell you what you can do is you can have that as you can do it as a player intrusion if you'd like, but I was going to give you some XP for that.
I'll roll for it. How about that?
Tell you what. Let's give you that. You can give that to somebody else,
Because,
and then you can roll to see if you can keep your hat.
okay.
This is a speed roll.
I'm easing it. Absolutely easing it.
And I will give you. Tell you what. Right before you roll.
Yeah.
I will set this as a difficulty 4 challenge, so you need to roll a 12 or higher, and that is with it being eased.
Cool.
No, wait, no.
I could
hang on.
choose
You
to
need to roll
automatically succeed on that task.
Sorry, no. You need to roll a. It's a difficulty 4 challenge, so you need to roll a 9 or higher because you have eased it. Sorry.
Okay. Can I can choose to automatically succeed on a task, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, fine.
Which triggers
well,
an intrusion. No, fuck it. I'll just roll. I'm just rolling.
Well, this is an intrusion, so
let's go.
Oh, sugar.
Shite.
New hat time, or go back in.
Huh?
Go back in and get your hat.
I'll spend a point of XP
to re-roll.
To whip my hat and pull it out with the whip.
Fine, that's cool enough. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Excellent.
Good. Okay.
That was a close one.
Yeah. Excellent. Well done, folks. And with that, the large gear comes and rolls across the entrance to the tunnel. The 4 of you are lit by your own 2 lanterns and are alone here in this tunnel. Oh. It's a little after 10:30. Do we want to keep going? Yeah?
No, I have to work again.
That's what I thought, yeah. Same. Sadly.
All right, well, we'll pick it up.
We're in the tunnel.
Next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was great.
How many more weeks do you reckon?
I think probably 2
time.
Possibly 3, depending on your pacing, basically.
Yeah, so 4.
Yeah. Well,
that's always the way it works.
Yeah, I mean, no more than 4, but I think 2 or 3.
Okay, cool.
Depending on how things are, yeah.
Better get off my ass then and start some fucking prep work on the other thing.
And do you want to go straight into? Are we going straight into tier 2? Or are we going straight into tier 1 with your?
What we're going to do is, I've yet to decide, but what I'm thinking is possibly the first adventure being tier 1 characters that I've pre-generated.
Yeah, okay, starting with the tier 1s, yeah.
And you'll either get random characters that you'll be playing through like pretty quick, or and then I think I might end up bumping the tier 1 characters, or sorry, the tier 2 characters you've made up to tier 3. Okay. So we can keep the concept, and you can either add the XP, or if it makes more sense to go back and rebuy your initial package that you bought, you can.
Well, I like the character
saves me the job of making a level 2 commissar.
Exactly.
A level 3 character.
Yeah.